And Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah was president in 71, from 71 to 79. So that was a long period, and we need to know why this happened. You know, that's what we are going to learn about them. This is a way of paying our homage to these great ladies, to remember about them, and to also to get inspiration from them, how they, you know, fought with the adversities and made their way through and reached such great heights. So before we start the program, I would invite Mrs. Sheila Kakade, our president, to throw some light on the program and introduce the topic. Sheila ji, over to you.
And welcome to all my dear sisters and participants and the guests who have joined in today's webinar. I welcome Dr. Simi Bhagat, Mrs. Chand Dodamane, Mrs. Shalini Pandit.
Laji, your voice is low.
Voice is low.
कितना रिचार्ज किया है?
Yeah. Mrs. Vajra Rao.
Can I request everyone? Sorry, Sheila ji. Can I request everyone to mute themselves? You know, because there is a lot of disturbance. Sorry about that. Thank you. Sheila ji, you can go ahead. Now, Sheila ji, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes. I welcome Dr. Simi Bhagat, Mrs. Shant Dodamane, Mrs. Shalini Pandit, Mrs. Vajra Rao, who will be presenting the 29th President of AIWC in 1969-70, Srimati B. Tarabai. I also extend hearty welcome to Mrs. Divyanjana Sarojini Varadarajan, daughter of Dr. K. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, and her three grandsons, Dr. Srinivasan, Shri J.V. Chaudhary, Shri Sridhar Varadarajan, Srimati Bhargavi Devendra, Mrs. Amreshwari, who are going to present our most dynamic 30th President, Dr. K. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, in 71-79. In May 2020, during the lockdown period, the idea to conduct online programs on past presidents occurred to my mind, and it took shape from 14 September 2020. The purpose was to pay respects to the stalwarts of AIWC who had put in exemplary work and made strong foundation for AIWC, and to revive the inspiration that motivated these women to create a space for women in the nation's life. Srimati B. Tarabai had in her team Ms. Vice President Srimati Mukta Pandit, Bhagini Samaj, Mangalore, Srimati Yamutai Kirloskar, Lakaki, Pune, Srimati Pushpa Mehta, Bhulabai Desai Road, Mumbai, and Srimati Sarojini Vardappan, Mylapore, Madras, Srimati K. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, Ashoka Road, New Delhi, and Srimati Pramoda Gosalia, Carmichael Road, Mumbai. Honorary General Secretary was Srimati Leela Damodar Menon, Ernakulam, Cochin, and Honorary Treasurer Srimati Sushila Desai, Veer Nariman Road, Mumbai. Srimati B. Tarabai was born in Mangalore. She had her early education in Mangalore and graduated from Queen Mary's College, Madras. She has been an educationist all along. She was part-time teacher in the National Girls' School, Mangalore, and full-time teacher in Madras Seva Sadan. Srimati Tarabai joined Lady Irwin College in 1933 as a lecturer when the college had completed its first anniversary. Worked there as a lecturer, vice directress, and was directress till 1961. Helped in upgrading the college from Diploma Institute to a postgraduate college in Home Science, affiliated to the University of Delhi. Srimati Tarabai had a 4-point program which included promotion of communal harmony, eradication of violence and indiscipline, removal of illiteracy and promotion of education, and implementation of family planning. She believed that restoring harmonious relations between the major communities of India is as much the task of the people as it is of the government. AIWC had 54 main branches and 386 constituent branches during that time, and membership was approximately 73,000. For the benefit of the guests today, I take the opportunity to tell few lines about AIWC. All India Women's Conference is the 94 years old national organization established in 1927 by Sarojini Naidu, Margaret Cousins, Dr. Annie Besant, with Maharani Chimnabai Gaikwad, second of Baroda, as the first president, and Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay as the first secretary, having its head office now at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, New Delhi. The education and position of women in British India needed a lot to be improved, and the formation of a community of women to work towards improving the status of women was the need of the hour. Chosen representatives of the conferences organized all over India attended a formal conference in Pune on 6 January 27 and later in Delhi, and women and girls from all classes and creed were encouraged to avoid child or early marriage and to get formally educated. Women of stature such as the Viceroy of India, Lady Irwin, Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Rajkumari Amritkar, Srimati Rameshwari Nehru, Lady Ramarao, Maharanis of Bhopal, Travancore, Muttalakshmi Reddy, Hansa Mehta, to name a few, were the stalwarts of this illustrious organization. AIWC rose further along and gained consultative status of ECOSAC with the United Nations and other international bodies like International Alliance for Women, Pan-Pacific South Asian Women's Association, REN, Infose, etc. Many institutions like the Lady Irwin College of New Delhi, Cancer Institute Chennai, Family Planning Association of India, Amrit Kaur Institute for Mentally Challenged Children are few among many others pioneered by AIWC, which are now autonomous bodies in India. All India Women's Conference also brought upon many legislative reforms in India, including the Universal Adult Franchise, Hindu Code Bill, Maternity Benefits Act, Sharda Act, etc. AIWC at its own level runs projects and programs implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. Regular creche programs are run in the branches. Many branches are running primary schools, working women's hostels, short stay homes for distressed women at 10 branches. Head office also runs one short stay home for distressed women at Vrindavan and at 6 Bhagwan Das Road. Our three trusts for education, health, and senior citizens also run separate programs. Program on communal harmony and peace offered by National Foundation for Communal Harmony are conducted throughout the country with AIWC's vast network of branches numbering around 500 and plus, and membership around 1 lakh and plus. Other programs conducted are health checkups and anemia programs, socio-economic programs for empowerment. Looking at the need of the hour, lot of awareness programs on gender sensitization, sexual harassment and legal awareness, environment and climate change, renewable energy, water and waste management are conducted on virtual platform. During the pandemic, our branch members spread all over the country extended their helping hand towards the needy in every form: food, medicine, sanitizers, oxygen cylinders, vaccination support, providing accommodation for medical doctors and paramedicals, etc. AIWC branches have provided counseling to the mentally disturbed in this COVID situation also. Under Environment Protection Program, our branches take up various programs. This is just a bird's view of our activities. Before moving forward, I would like to express my gratitude to our team. I appreciate and thank our Joint Secretary Supriya Bhalerao for taking initiative and efforts to contact Srimati Divyanjana ji and her sons, grandsons of our dearest patron Lakshmi ji, and invite them in today's webinar to share their memorable moments spent with her. I also appreciate each and every invite designed and prepared right from the day one by her. Thanks are due to our library team of Ranjana and Sujata for providing me with the pictures and text material. My sincere thanks are for Dr. Yutikaji Mishra, Member in Charge, MCM Library, for moderating the program wonderfully right from the beginning of the series. Many thanks to our office's technical support, our program officers Ritu and Pratibha. Thank you very much, all of you. I'm sure all of you must be very eager to listen to each one of the speakers. So, Yutika ji,
Yes.
please take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila ji, for that wonderful introduction to the program. And we thank you. We are grateful to you for actually starting this program. So let's start this great series and this episode of this great series. First of all, we are going to talk about Srimati Tarabai. She was the directress of Lady Irwin College. And to set the ball rolling for the program, we have none other than a professor from the Department of Fabric and Apparel Science, Lady Irwin College, Dr. Simmi Bhagat. So we have her here. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us. Can we see you? Yeah. Welcome to the program. You are going to tell us about Glorious Tara, your directress, Mrs. Tarabai. I'm calling your directress, of course, our directress, but since she's from your college, it would be a great feeling, I'm sure. Dr. Simmi Bhagat, let me introduce you. Dr. Simmi Bhagat is a professor at the Department of Fabric and Apparel Science, Lady Irwin College of the University of Delhi. And she got her PhD from the University of Delhi in 2006 and has spent last 28 years being active in teaching, research, and community outreach work. And she has been working with several organizations, assisting in community efforts in improving skills and training women in skills for income generation. She's been working with several national and international organizations in Italy, in Vienna, and various places abroad, and with projects with Development Commissioner Handlooms in the Ministry of Textiles and Delhi University and Department of Science and Technology with the Government of India. You have been participating in national and international conferences and seminars and published many papers and journals. You have been invited for talks by NIFT and several organizations dealing with craft and culture like National Museum, Crafts Museum, Lakshmi by College, INTAC, etc. And of course, several organizations. You have a long list with IIT, NCRT, several, from at all levels, the educational institutions you are affiliated with. You have been a member of many professional bodies like the AIWC, the parent organization of Lady Irwin College, the Delhi Crafts Council, Textile Association of India, the CIETA France, and Costume Society UK, and ICOM India. You've also been one of the founding members of the Textile and Clothing Research Center, TCRC, a society registered to promote textile, crafts, and research programs in India. And of course, as we can see, your area of interest are Indian textiles, costumes, world textile, fashion, and accessories. So we are so glad to have you over with us, Simmi ji. Over to you, Dr. Simmi Bhagat.
Thank you so much. I actually sent my resume to be cut short. I really was not aware what kind of resume is required here.
No, it is a pleasure to read out. I wanted to read out everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and it's really honor to be here with this community and giving me this task of presenting Dr. Tarabai, Mrs. Tarabai's association at Lady Irwin College. I myself was really, it was eye opener for me because I had to dig out from the archives of the college. She had been there from the time when we were not there. Of course, we were not even born by the time she retired from college. So all the information which I present today, about the glory of our second directress of Lady Irwin College. Okay. So I hope I am able to do justice to this presentation, as I just said, because all this, what I present today, is from the archives of the college and experience of those who knew her, though I could not talk to many people, but yes, I tried to talk to some of our very senior professors who had been there in her times. And so it's from that. Next, ma'am. So this is about our glorious, Mrs. Tarabai, who joined Lady Irwin College in November 1933. And one of her letter, which was written by her in 1982, that was the 50th year of the college. In that, very beautifully, how she describes on 1st of November 1933 how she lands up in Lady Irwin College and how well she was taken care of, by Mrs. Hannah Sen herself, the director at that time, and other two colleagues who had really taken good care of her. So she joined in November 1933 as a lecturer and was teaching physics, chemistry, anatomy, and physiology to diploma course students. She was also in charge. She was given the in chargeship of hostel immediately when she had come, because there were not many people who were there. Only 3 teachers or lecturers were there who were permanent. So they were given the in chargeship of looking after hostel. She was in charge of the cooperative stores, which was there at that time, and a very, very enthusiastic member of sports. So also became the member of Delhi Olympic Association and Girls Guide Association. She became directress in the year 1947 and retired from the post in 1961. Next. Next, ma'am. Yeah, talking about her education, as Sheila ma'am also talked about it. So she had passed the BA examination from Queen Mary School, Madras, and she obtained her LT in domestic science, which is basically equivalent to B.Ed from Lady Willingdon College, Madras. She was the recipient of Hannah Sen Overseas Scholarship in 1937, and she went to King's College for Household and Social Science to do a degree course in domestic science, and post which she resumed her duties as lecturer at Lady Irwin College in 1939. Next, ma'am.
Next. Can you see?
Yeah. So on 1st of December 1947, Mrs. Hannah Sen handed over the charge to Vice Directress, Mrs. Tarabai. And Mrs. Tarabai put her untiring efforts in maintaining the legacy of the college. She imbibed the spirit of love, service, and social work from Mrs. Hannah Sen. So that was Mrs. Tarabai in a very brief, words, if I put, because she actually knew and loved college just as Mrs. Hannah Sen, because from the second year itself, she was there with her, and a lot of things, when she talks about in her letter also, she every time mentions Mrs. Hannah Sen, what all she imbibed from her. Next, ma'am. So talking about her personality, as has been talked in various letters from students, by her colleagues. So I've just culled out some information of that. She was a very shy and simple person, a person with very few words, but her strictness in adhering to the path of duty is well known. Mrs. Tarabai had won the hearts of students as their beloved warden. She came into contact with them in many other capacities. As I just mentioned, she was also in charge of cooperative stores. So she would make purchases, which were very calculated to satisfy the hungry demands of growing girls. And at one place, that's where I quote, one of her colleague had written, where she said she used to use these kind of words, that I must take those chocolates and sweets of the store, for the stores, which girls would love it. So keeping in mind what all girls would want, she was very, very thoughtful of that, of their every want. She was a pleasant and very attractive friend of her colleagues. For the welfare of hundreds of young women, entrusted to her care, was always the priority. And in her first letter to old students as director, she mentions, I am proud to say that I have known all who have passed through the portals of Lady Irwin College ever since its inception. And in her letter, she also mentions the interest of the college in the welfare of students. She would invite students for the reunion day to happily relive their days at Lady Irwin College. She would even invite students for the reunion day, and she would also invite present students to the college week. They took it as a surprise, as they thought they were the hostesses of the event. But she mentioned, that in 1948, she writes, the Delhi University celebrations were not attended by the students as they were not invited. And I did not want the same to happen. And for sure, this did not happen in Lady Irwin College. She was a very pleasant and attractive friend to her kiddies, and she had a great sense of humor, though I could not find many examples to refer over here, but this is what was mentioned about her friend from her friends. Next, ma'am.
Can you see?
Yeah. So this is, under her leadership, students' bodies played a very strong role. In January 48, students held prayer meetings. They resolved as citizens of India to do their best to promote peace and unity in India. A letter was sent to Bapuji after he undertook fast. And on February 3rd, the same year, condolence meeting was held to express sorrow at the sudden death of beloved Bapuji. Letters of condolence were sent to Ramdas Gandhi and Pandit Nehru. And these are some of the things which, are cutting. I just clipped it from the magazines, that how students loved her, and because she would organize some kind of films of educative values for them. And though she was a strict disciplinarian, but she really, she could not stop students playing holy in the hostel, and she willingly and smilingly, became the target of the students. So this was what it was at Lady Irwin College in her times. Next, ma'am.
Next one.
Yeah. So under her leadership, college continued to invite nationalist leaders of the country. This gave opportunity to all her associates and students to meet them personally. Mahatma Gandhi visited college in 1947, and these are two of the college members alongside, you can see, with Gandhiji, that is Dr. Durga Diolkar and Dr. Roshni Pandey, I think. Yeah. So next one. Then besides that, builders of Lady Irwin College, always were her inspiration. Gracious Mrs. Hila Rustamji Faridunji, president of College GB at that time. She was the fond mother of the college. Then gentle, delicate-looking Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. She was the chairperson of the college, and she was a great friend, as she mentions. Sir Gangaram Kaula, and many more, who were really associated with college. College, along with them, came up so quickly and so well with the dedication of the GB members. And Mrs. Hannah Sen, as she said in Global Jubilee Message, was one of the, member on whom she depended a lot. Next, ma'am.
Yeah.
Over here, this was the first Founders Day under her leadership in 1948, after she took over from in 1947 December. So on 19th of March 1948, over here we can see on the stage Lord Mountbatten and Mrs. Fardoonji. Next. So this is just a gallery of pictures which I'm trying to show in her time. This was the first time March Past of the competitors was held on a sports day, and there were different houses, banners were made, they were painted and they were embroidered. So this happened for the first time again in 1948. Next. Pandit Nehru was the chief guest of the Founders Day in 1949, and over here is the Guard of Honor with Mrs. Tarabai and Panditji walking past on both sides. These are other glimpses of the same day where Panditji is addressing the crowd. There are dignitaries on the dais, And this beautiful picture of the faculty with Panditji, and it's really amazing to see one of the faculty members sitting down, how she is really looking at Panditji, not worried about the picture. Next. Then in 1950, it was an eventful year for the college and for the country, as the long cherished dream of Republic of Free India was realized on 26 January. College also celebrated, dinner was organized, buildings were decorated with multicolored flags and diyas. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the chief guest on convocation in 1950. And the next picture, next ma'am, over here we can see Dr. Prasad with the staff. Again on the same day. Next. And over here, he is visiting the exhibition of the needlecraft, which was, compiled together by the diploma students at that time. Mrs. Tarabai is seen along with Dr. Prasad. Next. Then for the first time in the history of Delhi, or for that matter, it says about this particular exhibition, which is in the history of this country, an exhibition which was unique in its conception and presentation was held at Lady Irwin College. This exhibition was presented to carry all the various aspects of women at home as a bride, as, in their own private domains, in kitchen, at family shrines. And Mrs. Tarabai, was the one who took this as a challenge. And to her goes the distinction of being the author of this wonderful idea. The stalls were arranged and supervised by individual staff members. And this was much appreciated and talked in all the circles around Delhi. Next. So in April 1950, directress announced about the long-looked degree course that was to be inaugurated in August. And this was long-cherished dream of Lady Irwin College, which came under her leadership. There was an affiliation of University of Delhi, which was accomplished in 1950. Next, so this is the final year needlecraft batch. These are the 2 years, the first batch, first year and the second year students in that year, because the 2 started parallel. So over here you can see ma'am sitting in the center along with the 2 batches of students. Next. Over here we have some more dignitaries who would visit, continued visiting college. This was in 1952. Lady Halifax had visited, and you can see the students and the staff members and Mrs. Tarabai. Next. Then Dr. Tarabai kept in touch with old students through various letters, which would go in the Jagrati magazine, which continues till today. And this was the annual magazine of the college, where she kept informing students about the changes that were upcoming, and also approached them for the help needed for expansion of the college building. So in between, one can see in these letters that annual membership fee is how much you can take, life membership was 100 rupees, and how they can contribute on their birthdays or special events in small form so that it can be used for expansion of the college. Next. So these are some more pictures of the final year degree students, as you can see over here. This continued, then talking about the growth and development of the Lady Irwin College during her tenure. Just to put in concise words, that in 1949, with the help of the grant of rupees 50,000 from central government, 2 laboratories and 1 demonstration room was added to the college building. In 1952, the science block construction actually started, and finally it came up within 1 year in 1953. And it was ready and was inaugurated by Rajkumari Amrit Kaur ji. Next. Then in 1952, B.Ed course also started, and talking about the building expansion, green rooms were added to the stage, existing stage was there, and two green rooms were added. In 1955, nursery school was inaugurated by Raghuramaiyah Ji. In 1955, college and exchange program with Tennessee University, and many students from both sides. It was exchange program, one of its kind at that time. And our students went there, faculty from there also came. Then in 1958, MSc course in food and nutrition was started. And it was also the year when the construction of new library began. Next. This was the first batch of MSc Foods and Nutrition, and the most beautiful thing was the stone which was laid in outside the department. This was done by the first batch of the students on the 11th November 1959, and 11th November is very significant for us because that is considered to be our Founders' Day, the day college started. So this picture came from one of the faculty who was student at that time, and you can see Dr. Sushma Sharma in the center, just behind Dr. Tarabai, and this is from her collection. I could get this picture. So she is food and nutrition batch. So first two batches are seen over here. Lab assistants, they all were there. That was such a beautiful environment, I must say, and this is the legacy which we have, I think inherited from Lady Irwin College. Next, ma'am. So this was something which I just fell for in 1961 on Queen Elizabeth's royal tour to India. Lady Irwin College was selected as one of the place, which should be visited by her. And it is being talked about a lot. This year, I think university is celebrating their centenary year, Delhi University. And particularly this was asked from us that we should give this picture to them to put it in the coffee table book, which is coming up from Delhi University as a mark of, celebration for this year. Next. So over here, this is by one of the student, it was written under the picture only that, will you keep these for me till I return? I think small gifts which were given to Queen, they were given to one of the student to just keep it till she comes after the visit. So this was, as if with a great sense of pride, the student mentions about this. So this was really beautiful. And next, Pam. So over here, that is the final day of her retirement from college. Mrs. Tarabai was given farewell, and Dr. Durga Diolkar takes over as the third director of our college. And this was, I think, the beautiful moment. And in the next picture, ma'am, next, one can see both of them together again here. How a token of respect and affection being shown by the staff and students of Lady Irwin College to Mrs. Tarabai. This was a gift given to her in the left picture. And in the right, Dr. Durga Diolkar is presenting the farewell address to Mrs. Tarabai. So this is the last from the archives, which I found in 1982. That was the year of celebration, Golden Jubilee year for college. And, one can see such beautifully written notes from her, which were, this particular article was for 5 pages, and how she talks about every student she remembered of the first batch. There were 9 students, and she described each one of them, how she talks about her colleagues who helped and what they are doing and where they have landed, how they have contributed to country. It was a beautiful sight for me, and I rather wanted to thank you people for giving me this opportunity to, really read about the old directors. So now I fell in love. I think I should start digging for other directors also. Yeah. So thank you. And that was it from my side. There is one more slide which just I wanted to say. So this was our glorious Tara, Mrs. B. Tarabai. So acknowledgements, basically all information from the library archives, and special thanks to Dr. Sushma Sharma for sharing pictures of her first batch with me, which I could use here. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Simiji. It
lovely.
was wonderful. The journey was
Very nice.
beautiful. We really enjoyed.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, my
Thank-
battery was showing, it's dying, so I just ran towards the other room to charge it. So,
It happens.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you
yeah.
so much,
very,
Professor Simi.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
very nice collection of pictures. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So,
It was so pleasurable to see and to hear everything. We were transported to that era, especially with the Queen and all the aura that you had created.
yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. I'm
Yes.
sure, I think you're busy, so won't say bye.
Yeah,
Of course,
I joined from phone now on my way.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Simi.
Thank you.
Now we go over to the next speaker, Mrs. Shant Maninge. She's the Director Finance and Head Infrastructure and Resources, Axletree Software Private Limited, Pune. Ms. Maninge did her schooling from Chennai and her post-graduation from the University of Baroda, and was been working in the software system analysis and software development companies. And in 1984, she established a consultancy practice providing data management services as well as payroll services to SMEs in Pune. And in 1987, she became an active partner in a software development firm that specialized in subcontracting. And in 1990s, she promoted Indus Software along with Mr. Vivek Maninge. In Indus Software, you were there as executive director and built financial systems and manuals and software products, and that was quite a detailed work you did there. And you also handled all the HR department, every head of the HR department, covering all aspects of human resource development. Then finally, in 2002, you decided to join Vivek Maninge in creating a new software product company that would concentrate on building knowledge capital instead of just people capital. And that is where Axletree Software comes in, where in Axletree, you have been responsible for finance and regulatory functions, administration and infrastructure provisioning that is required for fueling growth of the company. So this way, a successful entrepreneur, you are with us, and you are going to talk about the impact of your grandaunt in your growing up years. So we would love to hear that, Ms. Maninge. Over to you.
Thank you. So I heard so many things about. We call Tarabai as Taraka. That is what we refer to her as in our family. Even though she's my grandaunt, she is referred to as Taraka because she was my grandfather's elder sister. So she was like an akka to everybody in the family. So I'm going to be talking about her from a very different angle. Dr. Simi's introduction of Mrs. Tarabai and her whole journey in Lady Urban, I thought was absolutely amazing. And surprisingly, in the 1952 photograph, I saw my mother there in the behind her. So there are many people in the family who went to Lady Urban to do their home science. So I would request Supriya to please give me that copy of that picture. Anyway, so what is interesting is that she was never considered to be an old person. We never thought of her as an old person. We always thought of her as someone who had lots of exciting things to share in terms of what she did and how she did things. And so I'm going to be telling you about when she actually came into my life, okay? Because I didn't know her during the Lady Urban days. We got to know her only after I was born. So then, that it's a long time later that I got to know her. So she was a big force in our family. Whether I liked it or not, or anybody liked it or not, she was very well known in our whole family. My grandfather's family had 9 brothers and sisters. So all their children and I'm the third generation from there, right? So I'm a grandchild. So all of us, a whole lot of people who knew her. And so so what I was especially left with was that even though she lost her husband very young, she's not even graduated. Okay. So she had I'm talking of school, secondary school hadn't been completed. But she had a family that was so forward looking that her father made sure that she effectively finished her secondary school with children probably half her age. She had no problems doing it because for her, education was the most important thing. After which she went to Queen Mary's, did her whatever. I mean, I'm just embellishing whatever facts you already know, because these things probably you wouldn't know, that she was actually studying for the 10th and 12th when she was really much older than the other children in her class. Of course, I was very proud of her, the fact that she went to King's College and did her post-graduation over there, which I thought was brilliant for her at that time, to go across so many, to go across the world when even men would not do it at that point of time. So she did it in spite of everything. So she was really an emancipated woman, which we always admired her for. She was a role model for many people in our family and was herself a very emancipated woman. And for example, when my uncle passed away, she insisted that his wife should be given a job in my grandfather's style factory, because she felt that she was capable of doing it. She'd already done a BCom and things. And so she was ensuring that the women aspects of the family were looked after in a nice way. And of course, she was an educationist par excellence. She retired as principal of Lady Irwin. And after which, I don't know whether many people know about this or not, but I was studying in Baroda in MS University. She was living in Anand at that time, because she was actually helping in setting up a home science college in Vallabh Vidyanagar. Apparently, Vallabhbhai Patel had requested her sometime much earlier to help set up a home science faculty in Vallabh Vidyanagar. And she was doing it with the help of a student of hers. I think she was called Dr. Lakshmi. I'm not sure now what her real name was, because I think it was Lakshmi. So she set it up with her help. And then Dr. Lakshmi became the first principal of Lady Irwin. I mean, of the home science faculty in Vallabh Vidyanagar, which is now quite famous. Her belief was that there is more to a woman girl than what is expected from her in society. So considering she herself was a child widow, she realized that her role in life was much larger than just being a housewife or a homemaker. For me, the excitement of having her in Anand was that she would get us picked up. She had a car and she had a driver, and Kuwar Singh was her helper there. He was her man Friday, who cooked and drove the car and cleaned the house and everything. So he would come and pick us up. She would pick up my friend and me from Madhu, a friend of mine, who was also doing her home science course in MSU. And we would go to her place and have a great weekend with her and, enjoy ourselves and come back. She made sure that we had things to eat, which we would love, like namely non-veg, which we didn't get in our mess, even though she's a vegetarian. So she was very, like you said, Simi said, that there was a lot of forward thinking on her part to say, these kids would love chocolates, so let's keep chocolates in the store. I mean, that was, I thought, very, was a jhalak for me, which I had not seen before. She settled down in Bangalore. And one thing that really surprised me was that whenever Lady Irwin's students went to meet her, she knew them by name. And they were always surprised how she could remember each and every person's name. She was also visited by Srimati Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay and Field Marshal Cariappa, who were probably her friends in Delhi. And she had a whole host of reputed people whom she knew, but she was very down to earth. And what I really admired about her was that she was so well networked. She was down to earth, well networked, and knew a whole lot of people just through sheer interest. Family was very important to her, and she always made sure she kept in touch with all members of her family. And we always made sure that we knew where she was. So this was our Taraka. Thank you. I have to thank you all for felicitating and honoring Taraka, because she was one person we always wanted to somehow or the other thank in whichever way we could. And you've just given us an opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank
so
you.
much. Thank you,
It's our
Shantanu.
pleasure also, Shan, to
Thank
have you with us.
Thanks, Sheila ji.
and to hear more personal,
Yes.
things at a more personal level, which we don't know so much about her. Thank you, Ms. Shan, for being with us. Now we go over to the next speaker. This is Mrs. Vajra Rao. She's the former president, Bhagini Samaj, All India Women's Conference branch of Mangalore. And she's going to talk about Mrs. Tarabai as an educationist. Mrs. Vajra Rao has lived in Delhi, Belgrade, London, and has always been on the move, but her heart has always been in Mangalore. After her husband's retirement from the External Affairs Ministry, you opened a nursery school for children, which soon gained an excellent reputation for a rich learning environment and very caring staff. And you also started the Suchetwa Sadhana Samiti in 1995, which took full responsibility for waste disposal and management in your locality. And you have been a pioneer in this area, as the locals did not have awareness. And so you just trained them and made them aware about waste segregation. Your work indeed was highly appreciated at all levels of the government organization, and you won an award from the Vice President of India, Shri Venkaiah Naidu ji. You've also got the award of the Environmentalist of the Year from St. Agnes College. So you have been very involved in building clean toilets for Anganwadis and distributing cloth bags to various places. And you have been a very noted speaker in the field of environment in the educational institutions. Of course, as I said, you are the president of the Mahila Sabha and Bhagini Samaj. And this organization takes social service to a very different level, making it more modern and making institutions very caring. You have also written articles, and you are the author of the Chutney book. That really is interesting. Over to you, Vajraji. We would like to hear. You're going to talk about Mrs. Tarabai as an educationist. Vajraji, can you hear me? We can't hear you. Are you speaking?
Can you hear me
Please
now?
unmute. Yeah.
Now you're audible.
Now between Sheila Kakre and our Indian college professor, my stock is very less because whatever I have written, they have already said like that. But anyway, whatever, because I have taken a great time digging her history, because nobody knew who is Tarabai. When Sheila Kakre told me that Tarabai also comes from Mangalore, I was shocked because already I have given so much on Kamala Devi, then V. Ramarao's wife, I don't remember her name. So this is that I really had a shock. Then I started asking each and everybody. Now the whole Mangalore knows who is Tarabai. Anyway, because each and every person I started asking, do you know who is Tarabai and Tarabai? My whole office is full of papers writing about Tarabai. So I'm very happy that at least they have read anything, but I'm going to repeat the same thing. But
you did a lot of research. It seems that's real research. Great.
Yeah. And it has given me another idea that I'm planning to write the prominent ladies of Mangalore, and Tarabai is inside one of them. And I think Sheila Kakade has told me that she will help in this matter. Sheila ji, have to help me.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm going to say something. I thank Mrs. Sheila Kakade, President of AIWC, for giving me this opportunity to talk about Mrs. B. Tarabai, who was the President of AIWC from 1969 to 1970. It is an honor and a privilege to talk about one of India's earliest feminists who survived personal tragedy and surmounted innumerable obstacles. I am also very proud to state that Mrs. Tarabai belongs to Mangalore, and her journey to educate herself started from Mangalore. Widowed at a young age, she returned to Mangalore and joined second standard at the age of 15. Clad in white sari, this soft-spoken girl concentrated on getting educated Her ability to grasp and master her lessons made her teachers give her promotion and after promotion to the higher classes, and she completed schooling in a few years. Her father sent her to Madras for further studies, and she graduated from Queen's Mary's College. She then went on get her LT degree from Lady Wellington College, Madras, and a degree in home science from King's College, University of London. King's College is the most prestigious college in London because I knew that college very much because my daughter went there and everybody was telling, oh, King's College. So that is why I was so surprised that she has gone to King's College also. I had a lot of respect for that lady, you know. She was keenly interested in education and was a champion of women's rights. She initially worked as a part-time teacher in the National Girls' School of Bangalore and then as a full-time teacher in Madras Seva Sadar. Srimati Tarabai joined Lady Irwin College in 1933 as a lecturer, and through hard work and dedication, she became the vice president, vice director, and finally was the director till 1961. The school she had gone, I think the photograph has to be shown.
Just
It is still there. It is 167 years old. It is a very small school, and really I'm sorry, because it is very, very close to my house. Very, very close to my house. And now also my servants' children go there. So I am very, you know, very, moving myself. Okay. She helped in upgrading the college from Diploma Institute to postgraduate college in home science, affiliated to the University of Delhi. After the retirement, she immersed herself fully. This is the school. You can imagine. No, that is not the one. The first one. No, the second one. Okay, okay. This is the school where she has gone. This is the school you can make out. Now they have done very well because now they are planning to do all the government school in a proper way. So now it is like this. But it is 167 years old. That was the only school. Then that time it was in Mangalore. She helped upgrading the college from Diploma Institute to postgraduate college in home science, affiliated to the University of Delhi. After the retirement, she immersed herself fully in social service. She served as a chairperson of the Child Care Committee instituted by the Central Social Welfare, which was established in 1953. Another photograph. She was invited, no, not that, but the Queen, Queen, no, this is the Queen Elizabeth. No, see, here is she is with the Queen Elizabeth, and Queen Elizabeth actually invited her for coronation, 1952. And here is the Mountbatten, who was impressed by her simplicity and her true nature. And she was invited by the Delhi administration to start Women's Polytechnic. She worked She worked for the organization from 1962 to 1967. She traveled
I think she has lost the connection.
Yeah. It's showing limited connection.
Yeah. Can I show the pictures then now?
I think now she's back. No, gone again.
And gone again.
If you can we can just see the PPT.
There is nothing much to say, only the pictures which I got from library. This is the conference at Chandigarh in 1968 during her presidency, first conference. The whole lot of people, members are sitting here. This is in Chandigarh, 37th session of AIWC.
Okay.
This is the conference in Mangalore. The next one, she had it in Mangalore. Here you can see some of our members. We can see Lakshmi Menon.
She served on the executive managing body of many organizations.
Vajraji, we had lost you in between, so we moved on to this picture. I think your connection was lost. Yeah.
Doesn't matter, you carry on. These are pictures from Bangalore conference.
Okay, okay. That well, the,
You continue with your talk.
okay, okay. She served on executive managing body of many organizations. Honorary Secretary of All India Women's Central Food Council, advisor All India Federation of the Deaf, Indian Red Cross Society, Delhi State Social Welfare Board, Miranda House, Lady Sriram College, Lady Irvin College, Kannada Higher Secondary School, Lodi Road, Bharat Scouts and Guides, Amrit Kaur by Bihar for mentally challenged children. When she was elected as a president of AIWC in 1969, she did not forget her Mangalore. The annual meeting was organized in Mangalore. Her love to Mangalore could be seen by these words. Mangalore is a picturesque place bounded by the Arabian Sea and numerous rivers, Netravati, Falguni, and hills. Luckily, it has not changed its topography. Even though many high-rise buildings have come up in her presidential speech, she showed her anxiety by talking about the general deterioration of moral standards, serious breakdown of law and order, mockery of concept of freedom and security, public humiliation of women, rampant kidnapping of young girls and children. She requested AIWC members and its branches to work towards to eliminate these problems. Today, the women of India have forged ahead. They have access to best education practices, schools and colleges. They have risen to the top of their chosen fields and are equal participants in taking our nation forward. The credit goes to dedicated women like B. Tarabai, who passionately worked towards women's education and empowerment. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan said that the hope of the country lies in women and the spirit of sincerity and dedication with which they continue to strive to tackle the phenomenal problems of today. Tarabai took these words to her heart and would quote them in every speech. AIWC members and Tarabai took the issue of preventing the amendment of Hindu Succession Act by the Punjab government. Punjab government was preparing to amend the Hindu Succession Act of 1956 in order to debar the daughters from inheriting the father's property, agricultural property. She and all the branch members protested and were successful even though it took some years to pass. She was impressed by the personalities of Dr. Zakir Hussain, V.V. Giri, and Kamala Devi Chattopadhyaya. Tarabai's vast experience, especially her grit gaining education against great odds is an inspiration for all of us and our young girls. Her travels, her interests, her passion, dedication to improving women's education has touched many lives. We at AIWC are truly blessed to have such an inspiration leader today by remembering her life and giving a glimpse of the tremendous work she has done. I am so proud to have had this magnificent lady as our president. Thank you very much, Sheila Kakade. Once again, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Vajraji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vajraji. Yeah, now this is at Mangalore conference only, Bhagini Samaj.
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
see,
can see the Mukta
Pramoda
Pandit.
Gosalia, treasurer, Kamala Devi
Yeah.
here, and then vice president Mukta Pandit. I think her daughter-in-law is here now, Shalini Pandit.
Yeah, mother-in-law, Mukta Pandit. And the
Ha.
children are from Bhagini Samaj.
Sarojini Vardappan also you can see here.
Actually, her daughter-in-law, her granddaughter-in-law, because Shalini Pandit's daughter-in-law.
Okay.
Because Shalini Pandit is no more.
Acha.
Shalini
And
Pandit
this is Veera
no more.
Tarabai here.
I'm not talking of Shalini Pandit from the one who's already there in this list that's going to speak. I'm talking
Yes,
of Shalini
yes.
Pandit, who's another Shalini Pandit.
Okay, Shalu
Okay.
Pandit. People used to call her
Shalu Pandit, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
This is the press conference at Mangalore conference.
Yeah, and TMA Pai, that is a founder of Manipal Institution, He was the chief guest that time.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
This we have seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Raksha Sharan, you can see, and Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah here, and Tarabai. You can see Hansa Mehta also here, Raksha Sharan, Tarabai, and some guests maybe.
Mauritius, from the Mauritius, some people have come at
Ah,
that time.
yeah, here also some guests from foreign countries.
Yeah.
This is the Bhumi Pujan of Mumbai branch hostel, Kesarbai Bhimani Working Women's Hostel.
Oh.
Mrs. Dhabwala is seen. Sushila Munshi is also seen from Khar branch here.
Mm.
And this is Vatsalabai Naik. And this is B. Tarabai on 18th February 1917.
70, yeah.
Yeah, 70. This is also with some foreign delegates. Renuka Ray and Tarabai. Some of the pictures from our library. This is Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay,
Mhm.
Dr. Sarojini Vardappan.
Mm.
Renuka Ray and Tarabai. Some foreign delegates.
Margaret picture looks like.
Yes. That's all that I have to show.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilaji. Thank you. So we go over to the next speaker, Mrs. Shalini Bhaskar Pandit. She's the patron of Bhagini Samaj, Mangalore, and she's going to talk about her impressions of her aunt-in-law, Tarabai. Mrs. Shalini Pandit is, as I said, is a patron member of the Bhagini Samaj. She's got a long list of social service to her credit, a long innings, definitely. She's the vice president of Association for the Blind, known as the Dakshina Kannada, affiliated to NAB. She's under this, they are going to remote villages to conduct camps, almost 10 camps per year for past almost 32 years. They help in operations, surgeries, and help these patients in every manner possible. She's also a senior advisor, Sanidhya Autism Center in Mangalore, with 126 children, 56 trained teachers. They act in dramas, they do dances, they make several, so many vocational things like making envelopes, cards. They enjoy all activities in that center under the aegis of these ladies. She's also a trustee in Preeti Netal Trust, where they look after burnt and leprosy people who are rehabilitated, and they have built kitchens, bathrooms, and places to live in for these people, which is really helpful for them. Rehabilitation in the true sense. There's another Preeti Trust for boys who more like street children who roam around, and they bring them back to this center and put them back to school and rehabilitate them and take care of them. There is also a de-addiction center called TELOCA in Mangalore, where the inhabitants and those who come there are again rehabilitated, and they are put into various vocations and they are treated there. Ma'am has several hobbies also, like gardening and dramatics, and it's a long list of your work. So over to you, Shalini ji. We would like to hear more from you about your aunt-in-law, Tarabai.
When Mrs. Vajra Rao asked me to talk on Mrs. V. Tarabai, I was delighted and rather gratified. Though our family had not spoken or even thought about her for a long time, it has always been a matter of pride to us that such an intellectual and spirited lady was part of our family. The whole family used to call her Taraka, not because of her age, but out of sheer respect. We all youngsters would sit down in the courtyard, and my mother-in-law will come and tell stories about Taraka, how she got married at a very young age, and it was a glamorous marriage, and she was decked with the gold from head to toe. Her father wanted to impress the groom's family, and he put on a big shamiana and brought some bullock carts also to inspire them. Then this marriage went off very well, and Taraka went to her husband's place in Bombay. But after a very short time, a big tragedy happened. That 15-year-old Taraka came back as a widow from Bombay to Mangalore to start her new life. Her father, my husband's grandfather, was a radical and much ahead of his times. He refused to adhere to the usual customs and told the family, instead of told the family, from now on, no widow in his family will cut her hair and get tonsured. Instead of confining her to the house and the drudgery of a widow's life, he encouraged her to study. And Taraka was admitted to a Kannada medium school, which was the only one in Mangalore at that time. Taraka was 15-year-old and she was admitted to second standard. But she was very intelligent and she got promotion after promotion and completed her high school, and then she went to Madras for her higher education. When Queen Elizabeth visited in India, she met Tarabai and invited her for coronation, but Taraka sweetly but firmly declined the invitation. But after some time, Queen Mother invited all the Commonwealth teachers for high tea in Buckingham Palace, and Taraka also attended that. There she met Queen Elizabeth. Taraka was a very simple and humble lady. She used to come to Mangalore during summer holidays, and she used to bring lot of gifts to each and everybody in the family. We, just for fun, used to call her Mrs. Santa Claus. Taraka was really a Tara, a star, not only for our family, but for our country, India. I thank Mrs. Sheila Kakde, our president of AIWC, for giving me this opportunity to talk in this esteemed platform where we honor the past presidents of this institution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shalini ji. Thank you. That was such a nice speech. And indeed, she was a Tara, as you said, and a Santa Claus too. That was so good to hear, despite all the adversities in the initial years of her life, a young lady, and how she had to deal with all the adversities. Indeed, I mean, we should learn all that grit and the courage that she showed. And of course, the family. How can we forget the father who stood against all odds and said, no, she'll move on. So thank you so much, Shalinji. It was indeed amazing. So with this, we end this first section of the program today about Srimati B. Tarabai. And we move on to the next section where we are going to cover the 30th President, Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. And another dynamic, lively, energetic, influential lady. I mean, the synonyms are endless. I mean, we don't have enough words to describe her again. And we are going to hear about her. How she, I think the best thing, which I think Sheila ji, you are going to present your presentation just now. And the best part is the building, those who have seen this office, and most of you have seen, I know. So the building that stands today, the जिसको कहते हैं पहचान AIWC की, जो ये बिल्डिंग है आज, ये आज उनकी ही देन है और उनके ही डायनेमिज्म से ये बड़ा सा स्ट्रक्चर आज क्रिएट हुआ है. And we are literally, we are living off it. We are all the hostels and everything that is there, the halls. So we are thankful to her memory, to her, and we are going to move on with this section of the program. And I would invite Mrs. Sheila Kakade, our President AIWC at New Delhi, to talk about her. She's talking about creating the AIWC infrastructure, a mammoth task. Over to you, Sheila ji.
Namaskar once again, and thank you, Yutika ji. Our 30th President, Dr. K. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, from 1971 to 79, was a towering personality who was responsible for constructing the 6-story building Sarojini House at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, New Delhi. She was an extraordinary woman with rare perseverance and courage against all odds. A woman with a modern mindset, a clear vision of the goal, and tremendous courage in moving forward. She strongly opposed reservations, saying women should come up on their own merit. She mooted the scheme of giving licenses to prostitutes, braving adverse public opinion. Srimati Raghuramaiyah spanned 70 years of social service. She was the president of the organization for the longest and interesting 9 years. Dr. Raghuramaiyah advised to members to give their time, money, and thought to constructive activities, which would enable AIWC to give useful service for another 100 years. Secondly, she asked us to remember that no institution could survive for long on donations. Hence, we should work on ways to stand on our own feet. Thirdly, the next generation had to carry on the work, so our duty was to train youngsters and inspire them with a vision for the women of India. Lakshmi ji, in her team from 1971 to 73, had vice presidents Srimati L. Reddy, Rajbhavan, Lucknow, Srimati Tapti Mukherjee, Lower Circle Road, Calcutta, Srimati Pushpa Mehta, Vallabh Vidyanagar, Gujarat, Srimati Yamutai Kirloskar, Lakaki, Pune, Mrs. Avabai Wadia, Malabar Hill, Bombay, 6, Srimati Pritpal Kaur Vasu, Flats, Chandigarh. Honorable General Secretary was Srimati Leela Damodar Menon, Ernakulam, Cochin. Honorary Treasurer Ms. Sushila Desai, Veer Nariman Road, Bombay 20. From 1974 to 79, her team consisted of Vice Presidents Pushpa Mehta from Gujarat, Mrs. Sarojini Vardappan from Chennai, Social Welfare Board. She was that time at Central Social Welfare Board, Parliament Street, New Delhi. Leela Damodar Menon from Cochin, Srimati Ashoka Gupta from Gariahat, Calcutta, Srimati Kunti Paul, Amritsar, and Srimati Indira Bhajekar, Guruwarpet, Pune. Honorary Secretary General was Deepali Sen Gupta, New Delhi, and treasurer was Sushila Adivrekar Desai, Bombay. Now, before handing over to Yutika ji, I would like to share with you collection of pictures from our MCM library, which will definitely be enjoyed by you all. Yes. Can you see?
We can.
Yes. Ode to the glorious past, 30th President of All India Women's Conference, Dr. K. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah from 1971 to March 79. We are blessed, our team is blessed to be here with Dr. K. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. We have this picture of hers in the president block where we are staying. Myself and Rehana ji, our treasurer, is staying there. And we are really blessed to take her blessings, and we feel happy that she is with us all the time. On 2nd June 1972, Bhumi Puja was performed by Dr. Sarojini Mahishi, former Union Minister for Aviation and Tourism, Bhumi Puja of Sarojini House. Then foundation stone of Sarojini House was laid by President of India, Indian Republic, Shri V.V. Giri, 73. President of India, Shri V.V. Giri, addressing the model, and the model of Sarojini House you can see here. This is the model, and you can see Shri V.V. Giri, and this is Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, and this is Secretary Leela Damodar Menon. Aga Khan Hall has been built with the magnificent donation of rupees 10 lakhs given so generously by His Highness Aga Khan and his trust 1980. Here you can see Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and His Highness and Her Highness Aga Khan. Original house at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, New Delhi. Before Sarojini House was constructed, this was the bungalow. Under construction, Sarojini House under construction. You can see the maybe the 3rd or 4th floor is here. See how the construction was going on that time. This portion is the Aga Khan Hall portion projecting forward, and this is the hostel portion behind. Front of the Aga Khan Hall, this is the staircase going upstairs, 1st floor and 2nd floor, towards the halls, exhibition halls that we have now. This is the hall portion, Aga Khan Hall portion, and behind you can see the Sarojini House portion. The Sarojini House was built first and then the Aga Khan. Now this is ready. Srimati Indira Gandhi, on 26 March 1980, the Sarojini House was dedicated to the nation. How it looks now, Aga Khan Hall, the front side. This is the hostel portion. A dream come true. A dream made into reality by Dr. Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, President All India Women's Conference, 1971. And this Sarojini Naidu statue that we have in the porch area. Foundation stone ceremony of the extension of KD Hostel in 1976. This is the KD Hostel portion under construction. Annual conference at Lucknow in 1970. Chief guest Dr. B. Gopala Reddy, Governor of UP and President-elect Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. You can see Raksha Saran sitting here. B. Tarabai is also seen here. In 1971, Acting Prime Minister Honorable Shri Gulzarilal Nanda visited AIWC. Dr. Raghuramaiyah and patron Srimati Hansa Mehta are seen. This is Lakshmi ji talking to the members in the campus. Sitting in the front row is Mrs. Beena Jain. Can you see? You can recognize also. Here, Mrs. Beena Jain and Lakshmi ji. This is Dr. Sarojini Vardappan, Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah ji, and Secretary Leela Damodar Menon. Here also you can see Dr. Sarojini Vardappan. Here you can see Janki Rajaram, our senior member. This is the 23rd Triennial Congress of the International Alliance of Women held at New Delhi. Srimati Indira Gandhi inaugurated the function. Dr. Raghuramaiyah, President AIWC, is sitting here. Mrs. Edith and President IAW was also present. This is the dinner that they had. Sarojini Naidu Centenary Celebrations Day. This has been celebrated right from the beginning till date. We do that on every 13th of February. National Committee for International Women's Year, Dr. Raghuramaiyah, Srimati Vimla Farooqi, and Srimati Sarojini Vardappan. Here you can see Lakshmi Menon, Raksha Sharan sitting, and Lakshmi ji is talking. This is Advocate Leela Seth, Senior Advocate. And here you can see Sarojini Naidu's statue. First, this is the Bapnughar area. Our members will definitely recognize this. And that time the statue of Sarojini ji was here. Later on it was brought to the front side. Bhumi Pujan ceremony of Andhra Association by Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah in 1986. This is the secretary in 1974, Dipali Sengupta, Dr. Kalavati Tripathi, and Ashoka Gupta is also seen with Lakshmi Ravi. Here we can see senior member Lalita Balakrishnan and Janki Rajaram and Leela Damodar Menon with Lakshmi ji. this is the releasing of her autobiography. President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad is present at the function. At Rashtrapati Bhavan 1978, when the delegates had gone to visit President. Textile Center, which was started that time in 1990. Dr. Aparna Basu, Janki Rajaram. 67th annual session of AIWC, January in 1996. President of the branch, Samata. Dr. Sarojini Vardappan welcoming Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah on returning from Delhi. This is in Chennai. And Sarojini Vardappan became the next president. Here you can see Platinum Jubilee of WIA in 2002 with Dr. Vardappan and Bhargavi Devendra giving the vote of thanks. Lakshmi ji was honored by WIA at their Platinum Jubilee. This is the Platinum Jubilee celebration in Pune, AIWC's Platinum Jubilee. You can see Dr. Manorama Bawa, Gomti ji, Gomti Nair, Janki Rajaram and Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah here. Sai Kumari from Pondicherry, Manda Shimpi from Pune. And here the patrons, Veena Kohli, Dr. Aparna Basu, Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, Dr. Manorama Bawa, Gomti ji, Veena ji. Meeraben Zavwala, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, Lakshmi Menon, Raksha Sharan and Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. Lakshmi ji in the kitchen. Family photo with husband Raghuramaiyah and daughter Divyanjana. Your AIW sisters are ever so grateful to you. Thank you, Lakshmi ji, for giving us such a beautiful building and doing so much for us.
Thank you, Sheila ji. That was so interesting. Down the memory lane. I mean, right from looking at the building getting constructed, every stage of it, and then looking at our, the best part was those who are here, Mrs. Beena Jain.
Yeah, remembering them. Yes.
Janki ji is here, Veena Kohli ji is here, and I think Sarojini ji is here. So they're all in the pictures. So now we can, relate with them so much, so much more closer to our times. Yeah, it's enthralling. Thank you, Sheila ji. Those are lovely pictures. Now we have some family members. It's indeed a treat to have the family when you are talking about these people. It's very interesting because you get to know another aspect of their personalities, much more close, those who are much more closer to her. We have none other than her daughter, Mrs. Divyanjana Sarojini Vardarajan. She is with her. And I would like to call upon Supriya, you're there, Supriya, to introduce her, because Supriya was instrumental in getting through to her. And we are thankful to Supriya who could contact her and, bring her over to us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to contact. I'm sure, Supriya, you did a very good thing. So please, please introduce and carry forward.
Yeah.
Supriya, you're muted. Just muted now.
Thank you, Yutika. And in fact, I told Sheila ji sometime 2-3 days ago our president actually, that I felt really fortunate to be able to locate the family 2 days, 3 days before. And it was such a wonderful feeling, that because without Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah's family, how do we go ahead with the session on her? So here it is. Now I'm actually going to introduce Divya Jnana. Her name is Divya Jnana Sarojini Varadarajan. She's the only child of Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, our past president, and Sri Kota Raghuramaiyah, the former minister. Born in October 1938 at Madras, she studied at Madras for a schooling and college and graduated from Etiraj College. She moved to Delhi in 1957 with her parents when her father became the MP and later the minister. She joined the course of MA History in Delhi University. It was a little difficult to attend the classes because the classes were at university. She then changed the university to Aligarh University as it had classes for women. She then later, she completed the first year and probably was not destined to complete her education because of her marriage, and then year after the child was born. Why I elaborated on this education of hers is that was the kind of condition and the status of women's education at that time. And the people who were willing and who could even go to college and manage to study, it was difficult for them also to some extent. She married to Mr. Varadarajan and moved to Coimbatore after her marriage, has 3 sons, kept visiting Delhi every year for a couple of months in summer holidays. The parents lived at 14 Ashoka Road. Her 3 sons, Dr. K.V. Srinivasan, Mr. J. Venkatesham Chaudhary, and Mr. Sridhar Vardappan. He's in Spain. The third one is in Spain, but we are lucky to have Dr. Srinivasan and Mr. Chaudhary with us today. Initially, they studied at Coimbatore and went abroad for their education. When Sarojini ji was free from her family duties, and when the children got married and settled well, she found time for herself and joined the Dayananda Saraswati Ashram at Coimbatore to study Upanishads. She was studying for 6 years, all those Upanishads, and wrote books on 4 Upanishads to bring them out in simpler manner for people to understand. This was very well appreciated by the experts. The course was from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. with special permission for attending the course for lesser number of hours, and remaining studies she managed to do from audio cassettes. 4 Upanishads are published. The 5th one has gone to the press, and the next ones are yet to be done. She has foreign students who she has given the books for the nominal price, and or sometimes only free of charge. And this is the kind of seva she provides, because as she puts it, knowledge itself is a knowledge imparting or sharing itself is a good service. This is what she's doing, wholeheartedly right now. I thank Divya Jnana Sarojini Devi to be with us today, and we are eager to hear her. Over to you, Sarojini ji.
Namaste, all of you. I in no way belong to All India Women's Conference, but Supriya dragged me into this, so here I am. Namaste, all of you.
Namaste.
Well, to talk about my mother, Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, was a strong-willed person, as you all know. I believe that this characteristic of hers stemmed from the rigorous training her father, Rao Sahib Jampala Venkatesham Chaudhary, gave her. My grandfather, incidentally, was a graduate and collector of Guntur district in the then Madras Presidency and later Diwan of Chalapalli Estate. He made sure his very young wife, Ratnamanikyamma, learned to read and write in English at that time itself. And he treated his two daughters, both my mother and my aunt, as his sons rather than as his daughters, and sent them for schooling to Margaret cousins. Later on, after their marriage, my father, incidentally a distant cousin of my mother and a Baratla from London University, who had just returned from England, guided my mother to pursue her education to graduate from Women's Christian College, Madras. In the midst of her pursuits of a degree, I was born, and therefore she had to study, look after me, and the house as well. She did manage very well, I believe. As I began my schooling, she began to dabble in social activities. She joined Andhra Mahila Sabha, a women's organization started by the great Durgabai Deshmukh. She became the editor of Andhra Mahila for 5 years, a women's monthly, a Telugu, which had then a circulation of 1,000 copies a month. Being a teenager by then, she would encourage me to write something for the magazine. Perhaps that is how I am now an author of books. At the same time, she was a great disciplinarian. She would encourage me to invite as many friends of mine to the house to spend few days, but I was not allowed to go out and anywhere. Thus, my home was nicknamed as Women's Hostel. Probably in a later vein, I believe that it was probably then that she conceived the idea of working women's hostel. She was in the Telugu Film Censor Committee, where she was equally strict and would cut off scenes if she thought they were not correct. In 1957, we shifted to Delhi. My father had resigned as secretary in the Madras presidency, took to politics, joined Congress, and after independence stood for elections. He won with an overwhelming majority. Prime Minister Sri Nehru was impressed by his speeches in the parliament and invited him to join the cabinet as the Minister of State for Defence under Krishna Menon. I joined University of Delhi for my MA Economics but never finished as I got married. Soon after that, my mother joined All India Women's Conference and the rest is history. She was always very hospitable, and again her house became a women's hostel, this time with all her friends who wanted hot dosas. She was president of Andhra Association in Delhi, president for School for Mentally Disabled Children in Delhi, and president of the Lady Irwin College Committee. In her village in Andhra Pradesh, she started a college in memory of my father after he passed away, an electronic training institute for women in memory for her mother, and also adult education for women and night school for children was also initiated. She also ran a homeopathic clinic, a mobile cancer unit, and prevention of drug addiction unit in Guntur district. She has authored 15 books, among which 2 are English, one about prostitution called Nightbirds, another about the position of women in India titled Hurricane. My mother's strong will and her special characteristics are very difficult to forget. Primarily, she was a fighter, fighting for justice, for women's cause, and for values. She was never afraid, never disheartened, even when it looked as if she was going to lose. She believed that no war is won or lost till the last battle is fought. Many a time this attitude of her gave her the victory. She was never afraid to point out the wrongs of people. To her, if a person is in the wrong, it has to be corrected. Whether it be a letter to the Prime Minister or a letter to the editor of a daily or an entry into complaint book, she would not hesitate to do it. When I used to say, "What is the use, Mummy? Do you think they will bother to take action about it?" she would say, "Whether they do it or do not, it is my duty to inform them. I would then remember Lord Krishna's words in the Gita, do your duty. As for result, leave it to me. She was a real karma yogi. Another beautiful characteristic of her was that she would say, when you give something, give it completely and wholeheartedly and never feel sorry that you have to give it away, but give it away with love. In fact, the pleasure of giving I learned from her only. Thus, my mother lived the way she wanted to live, quite different from the average person, and so was her death a tribute to her convictions. She never wanted to live as a vegetable. It was only the last 3 days of her life she missed writing her diary. She was always there for her friends and did what she wanted. She was a courageous woman, lived a courageous life, and in spite of the physical suffering towards her end, she died courageously. This is how I shall always remember her. Her love to me was not the smothering or the weakening one, but one which gave me the courage to go through life. For I always remember her often repeated words that self-pity is the worst thing you do to yourself. So thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Divya Gyanaji. That's a lovely name. Thank you so much. That was so insightful and interesting to hear about the various dimensions of Mrs. Raghuramaiyah's personality. And to carry forward this baton, we have with us your sons, I believe. Yeah, they
Yes.
are there, the grandsons. I think there are 3, but only 2 are present as far as I can see. So I would like to welcome Dr. Srinivasan and Shri Chaudhary ji from Coimbatore. And it's a pleasure to have you over with us today. Dr. Srinivasan and I believe both the sons here present here are engineers by vocation. And you have done, Dr. Srinivasan has done his engineering from PSG College of Technology and PhD and MSc from Manchester. And he has got several awards and work to his credit. He is the managing director of Sri Narasimha Textiles, member of the Young Entrepreneurs Group of International Textile Manufacturers of Federation. He's been the chairman of the Southern India Mills Association in Coimbatore and chairman of the Council of Administration of South India Textile Research also. And he's been chairman to several promotional councils related to textile, being a textile engineer himself. Mr. Chaudhary, J.V. Chaudhary is a production and industrial management engineer. He's done his graduation and post-graduation in these fields. His professional interests are in real estate and airport infrastructure. And you have many publications to your credit, sir, especially in the field of industrial engineering and artificial intelligence. Then you are happily married with 2 daughters and you are now the managing trustee of the Jampala Ratna Manyakam Trust, if I am pronouncing it correctly.
Ratnamanikyam.
Manikyam Trust.
Ratnamanikyam.
Manikyam Trust. Okay, that was interesting. We would love to know more about this trust also. I'm sure it's got to do with social service. So welcome to you, sirs. And you are going to talk about energizing our lives through your grandmother's memories, I believe. Over to you, Dr. Srinivas and Mr. J.V. Chaudhary ji.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank All India Women Conference in general, and particularly Mrs. Supriya Balerao for organizing this event and also for giving us an opportunity to speak. Amma is what we called our grandmother, Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah.
You speak a little louder, sir.
Amma is what we call. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Can you increase your volume a little, maybe?
Is that better now?
Yeah. And come closer. Yeah.
Amma is what we called our grandmother, Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. She was a woman who was many things: housewife, agriculturist, social worker, author, internationally traveled activist for women's rights. But to us grandchildren, she was still the perfect, dear, beloved grandmother. When we were young children, she was always there when we wanted her. She looked after us and nursed us through many illnesses we went through. In spite of her busy schedule and the distance which separated us, she wrote to us and kept in touch regularly. We used to look forward to her visits in Coimbatore. She was a well-traveled person who would enthrall us with her experiences in many different lands. I still remember every time she left us to go back to Delhi, we would be tears. We used to visit her in Delhi every year for our summer holidays and spent a month with our grandparents. Most enjoyable part of this was the most enjoyable part of the year, and she thoroughly spoiled us. We used to visit all the various sites of Delhi, do shopping, eat in different places. She has taken us several times to her office at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, All India Women's Conference. And as kids, we remember we used to enjoy the library. We spent a lot of time reading books in the library there. We saw several. It was always also interesting to stay in my grandparents' place because we could see a lot of people, interesting people come and go. I recall meeting, or rather seeing, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, Vajpayee, and others. I will always remember the good times we had with our grandparents at their house at 14 Ashoka Road in New Delhi. As we grew up and went through school and university, we learned to admire our grandmother from a different perspective. We were able to appreciate better the work she was doing to benefit others and the various awards and recognitions she received. I remember accompanying her to the World Telugu Conference at Hyderabad in 1975, where she spoke and received an award. She also used to take us to her village in Andhra Pradesh and show us our ancestral home and properties. My grandfather's sudden death in 1979 must have been a terrible blow to her. She relocated to her old house in Chennai and went about making new friends and renewing old acquaintances with a lot of enthusiasm, even though she was already in her 60s. Her health began to decline, but it did not deter her from her travels or even taking on new responsibilities at work. She visited us abroad when we were at foreign universities and enjoyed it probably more than we did in the next few years. We were all busy with our families and our businesses, but we still kept in touch with our grandmother. Definitely enjoyed the company of her great-grandchildren. It was in her last years, the twilight of her life, that I learned to admire my grandmother the most. Ill health had reduced her lifestyle, and I knew how difficult it must have been for her to, as such an active person, to lead a restricted life. Yet she never complained and managed to keep herself busy and even think of new ideas and schemes. She kept in touch with her friends and relations through her prolific letter writing, and even in her 80s, she was up to date on news and information from across the world. She was even writing short stories and articles at that age. The last 2 years were probably the most difficult ones for her. In spite of her pain and suffering, she still showed a lot of courage and fortitude. That is how I would like to remember my grandmother, as a person who lived life to the full, treated triumph and disaster just the same, and left a lasting impression on all whom she met. Once again, I would like to thank All India Women's Conference for giving me this opportunity to speak. Just to let you know, as a child on a holiday, I was taken to Bangalore All India Women's Conference session, where I had the opportunity to meet also Mrs. Tarabai at that time. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Srinivas. Thank you. Mr. Chaudhary, would you like to speak something? Would you like to also? Can you unmute yourself, please? Yeah.
Namaste to all of you.
Namaskar.
Yes, it was Amma, as we fondly called her. Not wanting to dwell into a repetition of how we looked up to her, which was very nicely conveyed by my brother, I would like to share some lighter moments, some idiosyncrasies and unfulfilled wishes. Amma was grandmother and a sister to me by virtue of my adoption by her mother, Jampala Ratnamanikama, which probably created a little special treatment for me here and there compared to the other brothers. It was in the late 90s when she had settled in Chennai. I was then habituated to a beer every evening. So in the huge house, I settled myself as far as possible in the hall of the house, which she used to never come to, so that I can have my beer. Sipping the beer from just a water glass, I suddenly saw Amma stealthily creeping up on me. Tried to hide the beer bottle, but in vain. She had already seen it. And a reaction, she gave the boy Shiva, who was there, a dirty glare and said, "Why is Venkat Babu drinking beer from a gas tumbler? Go take the key from my room and get the beer mug for him." And mind you all, that was one of the best beer mugs I have seen. And today the whole set is now with me. Bida and pickles were a must for her. A special box housing betel leaves, calcium paste, and arecanut would reach her after every meal. Self-made bida would then find its way into her. As a kid, I would get betel leaves smeared with calcium minus the arecanut. Talking of pickles, a meal was not complete without pickles. In the last decade of her life, doctors' advice to her was to avoid pickles due to certain ailment. But in her dictionary, pickle was the best medicine. The kind doctors who were also quite attached to Amma would just shrug it and helplessly smile it off. Amma was famous in the Chennai Mylapore vegetable market. Her negotiating skills were admired by all the vendors. This skill probably gave her the pole position in negotiating and fixing yearly leases of the family's lemon gardens in and around Tenali in Andhra Pradesh. Once fixed, this would be the guiding value for all the other lemon gardens owned by others. The characteristic that I shared with Amma were a preference for traveling by car between cities, however far they were, and of course pickles. I too love pickles. Amma's million-dollar laugh used to fill the house. To her close associates, even now, they say her laugh still rings in their ears. Her mother wished that a Rama temple be built in her village, namely Dugirala. Amma was able to partially fulfill that desire by earmarking a piece of land for the temple and also had a idol of Anjaneya consecrated. However, after her passing away, we were not able to concentrate on Dugirala, which was in Andhra Pradesh, and the temple remained unfinished and was also sort of neglected by people there. I guess with the blessings of the two departed souls, my Amma and my adopted mother and my parents, the temple has not only become a reality in Coimbatore, it has also grown beyond Champala Ratnamanikama's dream. As her health was deteriorating, we all requested Amma to come and stay in Coimbatore so that we could take care of her. Her strong conviction did not allow her to come and stay in her daughter's house. Never. However, I believe from her caretaker, Dharmalingam, that she was contemplating to come and stay with her brother, namely me. I would have been the happiest person if that had happened. However, that was not to be as the condition worsened and she could not travel. I miss her. I miss her courage. I wish she was alive to see all the fertile lands in Karaikal that I purchased in multiples of acres out of the proceeds of the sale of the fertile lands of Dugirala. Once again, thank you all. It's a very nice thing what you have done for her. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Srinivasan, and thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chaudhary, for enlightening us about the grandmother that she was, and I must say the perfect person that she was, and the perfect grandmother, and of course a sister to you, Mr. Chaudhary. So it was so heartening to hear all this. Now I think we proceed from here to the next subsection here, where we are going to hear more from our members. And first we have Mrs. Bhargavi Devendra. Are you there, ma'am? Bhargavi ji. Mrs. Devendra she's a senior AIWC member and secretary, Women's India Association in Chennai. She's going to talk about her experiences with Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. Bhargavi ji.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about a legendary personality, Srimati late Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. She has
Bhargavi
done.
ji, sorry to interrupt. Can we see you? I mean, your video is not there. Can we see you also? That will be good, yeah.
She has done social work for half a century. She was associated with late Dr. Margaret Cousins, an associate of late Annie Besant. They were the founders of Women's Indian Association as well as AIWC. Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah received honorary doctorate for sociology from Andhra University and for social work from the Padmavati University, Tirupati. She was an author of 3 books, Rainbow in Dark in 1990, Nightbirds in 1991, Hurricane in 1994. She was a very brave and courageous person who never afraid to go to places of national disasters like earthquake, floods, famine, and cyclones. She also visited cholera-affected areas of Delhi and distributed homeopathy pills to the affected persons. She never minded about herself in helping the people. She never expected nor anticipated any reward for her work. She was responsible for 4 monument buildings at Delhi. The Swami Shivananda Association building, AIWC 6-story building at Lodi Road, Andhra Association, that is also 6-story building, housing colony for 250 single women in Mazipur. She received agricultural award from Russia in 1967. She was closely associated with the Iran royal family, visited Australia in 1962, West Germany in 1969. She was a permanent and vice president of International Alliance of Women London and Commonwealth Women League London. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, when she was the president of AIWC, took a very bold step and took a loan of 2 crores from banks and Aga Khan and built 6-story buildings at AIWC, which houses 500 working women, a largest working women's hostel in our country. Building houses, banks, and government offices are taken for rent in the building and gets a good income to AIWC to take up many programs to help people at Delhi as well as the branches all over India. She was a good friend of Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, and when she completed her office as the president of AIWC, Dr. Sarojini Varadappan organized a very for Mrs. Raghuramaiyah,
and everybody appreciated her work. And she had a house at Harrington Road, Madras. And whenever she used to come to Madras and stay there, Sarojini Vardappan used to visit her. And she used to take me along with her. And Mrs. Raghuramaiyah is a very good conversationalist, and she has helped me as a officer of Central Social Welfare Board whenever I used to come to Delhi to stay in the hostel. And I have seen her early morning. I mean, such a great lady, living in a small room with an attached bathroom. And early morning, she used to get up, wrap a shawl around her, and used to go and visit the building construction. Such a great lady I have never seen, and so simple and so kind, and she is so considerate to people. And I have always admired her. And I pray Almighty and pray my respects to her soul which has departed. And thank you, Sheila ji, for the opportunity what you have given to me to say a few words about our patron and the person who has left such a impression on everybody to follow her footsteps. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhargavi. Indeed, we are all indebted to her, and of course, her memory is ever alive in our hearts. Then we have Mrs. Amreshwari Morlaji. She's the past treasurer and past vice president of All India Women's Conference. She is also going to talk about Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. Amreshwari ji, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon and namaskar to one and all who are attending this webinar. I congratulate our president, Srimati Sheila, team, Mrs. Kuljit Kaur and Rehana Begum for taking up this program.
Little louder, Amreshwari ji. Little louder.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate for this program of Ode to Glorious. Very good step taken by Sheila ji, which has enabled each one of us to know more and more about our past presidents. Because we have been saying it's a past glory, it is there since the pre-independence movement. But now, by listening to each one of them, we are able to understand what exactly they have done for the AIWC and what we have seen and how much to be done. So this is just like a guiding force for all of us. And today in a series where we are having 29th president, that is Sri Tarabai, and I have heard about her today. We have learned more about it. And secondly, our 30th president, Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. At the outset, I take this opportunity to offer my respects to Lakshmi Auntie Garu and share my intimacy with our family. She would visit our house and discuss with my father, Shri Addanki Rama Rao, who hails from Guru and was in Delhi working as Director General of CAPAR, Technical Manager NABARD, and his parent organization KVIC as Joint Chief Executive Officer. My mother was also closely associated to her. Many important topics and programs were planned for the upliftment of women and children were focused. With all these discussions, I was a silent observer, but slowly the fire flamed in me and I got inspired and started admiring her for the knowledge and dedication towards the social service. Everyone in AIWC family are familiar with Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. They too have many intimate memories to share. I, as a younger generation member, I feel privileged to speak about Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah auntie, who has influenced and motivated my life towards this service and also into the AIWC. She's perhaps the most eminent scholar activist in the cause of women upliftment in India. She's patron and a permanent managing trustee of AIWC. She was also president of Delhi Women's League, permanent vice president, International Alliance of Women. She held various other offices nationally and internationally concerned with issues. She has participated in national, international seminars on women, conducted first-hand research on prostitutes in this country and abroad. She is remembered as a strong personality, great optimist, and also for her hospitality. She always had the zeal for service and committed to the cause of uplifting women's status by organizing women as a group to stand up for their rights, including those aimed at enriching content of primary education, vocational training, and colleges. We all know that she is instrumental in the construction of Aga Khan Hall and other buildings in our campus, which made our organization viable. She was also responsible for the construction of Andhra Bhavan at Lodi Road, adjacent to Sri Ram Mandir and Sri Sai Baba Mandir. Many schools, organizations like Shivananda Ashram, etc., came up in Delhi, Hyderabad, Guntur, and many more places. She also worked for bringing up Raghuramaiyah Sabha with Srimati Durgabai Deshmukh. She would lay stress on two important aspects of working, which are really appreciable. First, think deeply about the problem. Your understanding will give you the confidence to deal with it and to convince and carry others with you. Secondly, you cannot work forever. So your task is to select and train and inspire the next generation to work on the work.
Thank you.
Her session and her radical and courageous views made her strong, saying women should come up in their own way. To agree to this, Her autobiography, based on her joltings, showed a woman with a modern mindset, a clear vision of the goal, and tremendous courage in moving forward. We call Guntur people as Palnadu Paurusham, means very strong in their deeds, and she is not less than that. Let me quote few of her thoughtful insights. In her own words, my predecessors in this position had brilliant women and pioneers in many fields of public life. Although I cannot claim these qualities, I can only remind that the AIWC had at least decided to avail from the younger talent from its members, and I have the good fortune of becoming its president at this juncture. It's not a day late. She further said, this organization started 4 generations ago by a few far-sighted women. It is no longer an agitating body. We all believe that it's not an agitating. So I say this because the time has come when this organization should recover its old spirit of dedicated, vigorous activity in social welfare work that is so disguised it's during the pre-independence period. In those days, the AIWC displayed crusading zeal in its work and was indeed rewarded with great succession in the end. Even today, AIWC is carrying forward the legacy. If I continue, there are many more inspiring, thought-provoking, valuable suggestions for the younger generation. But I would like to limit to this. But there's one more angle in her, is her flair for writing on the burning topics. As a freelance journalist, has contributed articles, stories to many magazines. As an author, published books. She has published over half a dozen works of both fiction and non-fiction on all subjects of women and their problems. Prominent among them these are Manalo Manamata. This is all in Telugu, which I'm talking about, because other books are known. Singinadam, a novel on joint families, Chilligava, novel on prostitutes, and Dhanam Jeevam, novel on Andhra women. She also edited Andhra Mahila magazine for 5 years. She had written many books, for example, Autobiography of a Woman, Nightbirds, many and much more memories to speak about. But I should not be too selfish to take more time, as I know there are so many seniors to speak about their close association with her. Once again, I thank all of you for the patient hearing and the office bearers for giving me this precious time to share my thoughts about the Iron Lady Lakshmi Auntie, which has motivated me to take up this social service and be a part of AIWC. I have letters written to her, to me. I'm ever grateful and thankful to you, Auntie, for showing me such a noble path. Humble, heartfelt namaskars to you. I thank her daughter, Divagna Sarojini Varadarajan, grandson Srinivasan and Chaudhary for being here today and sharing memories of such a great and wonderful lady. I thank all my seniors and sisters once again, namaskar. But last, I would like to quote Words can inspire us. Words can inspire us. Thoughts can provoke. When we listen to anything, we are just overwhelmed. But only action truly brings you closer to your dream or the goal. Only action truly brings you closer to your dream or goal. Namaste, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Amreshwari. That was such a passionate bit about the work that Lakshmi ji stood for. Thank you so much. It was so good to hear. And the multifarious personality that she was, she had so many interests, writing and all. I mean, the younger generation, didn't know all that maybe for a long time. And I think I plan to. One thing appeals to me here, like all of you, you just said you have letters from her and all that. If some of you feel like donating something, if you think you don't have a place to keep or they are getting too old, we will preserve them. That's what our archives in the library does. So you may maybe sort them out. And yeah. You are muted, Amreshwari. We can't hear you. So we can, yeah, that's a general appeal to everyone. So they can share their material with us, and we will preserve it in the library. It's for posterity to, read that and know. Yeah. Sure, Amrish.
There's one participant who would like to speak about Lakshmi auntie. Her mother, she was MP from Jevada. We are having Dr. Kirti with us.
Yeah. I think I've been seeing her. Yeah. So yeah. So I think I would like to invite her now. I mean, if you can introduce her. She's Amreshwari ji or something. Yeah, your audio was troublesome. Yeah. No, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, can't hear you.
So
yeah. You have to unmute
actually,
now.
Amreshwari, are you talking about Dr. Kirti, who is present here in the meeting? Yeah. Amreshwari told me about this, that we have Dr. Kirti with us from Vasavya Mahila Mandali of Vijayawada.
Okay.
She is the daughter of Channapati Vidya, former MP of 7th and 9th Lok Sabha. And she would like to share her experiences. Thank you, Dr. Kirti, for being with us.
Over to you.
Can't hear you, Amreshwari. Please be louder.
Yeah, I would like to speak more about her, because they are also from family of freedom fighters and Gandhians. People are familiar with Mr. Gora Garu and Saraswati Gora in Vijayawada, and for the Nastik Kendra they used to run. And Dr. Kirti is heading Vasavya Mahila Mandali, an Indian civil society organization whose efforts over the last half a century had a prime focus on social impact and transformation of lives of women and children. And its fundamentals are influenced by Gandhian philosophy of non-violence, constructive work, and peaceful conflict resolution. Vasavya Mahila Mandal is working towards reaching sustainable goals by establishing gender equitable society with local to global networks and collaboration. Kirti always says, no silence for violence. She should also like to share how accompanying her mother to Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah auntie has inspired in her life. So, Dr. Kirti?
Yeah.
Please
Thank you so much, for inviting me for this. I really appreciate it. The 2 hours of my time went just click like this, because it went through the 29th and 30th presidents of All India Women's Congress, how it went through and the vision they have, and it is really a kind of a motivation and inspiration for us in building the social organizations. I'm coming from a freedom fighters family and Gandhians family, and I'm the 3rd generation spearheading Vasavya Mahila Mandali, which is 53 years old. And with regard to Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu, my mother is Channapati Vidya, is very close to Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. And how it is my mother is also in politics, and she is very close with Raghuramaiyah garu as a member of parliament and all other journey. So when she used to go for parliament meetings or any other meetings relating to the party and also women's development, Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu is very close to our family and the institution. One day I asked, Auntie, are you not tired speaking at late 11 o'clock reaching Vijayawada? Then she told that, never tired. What made them never tired is that felt me that the passion and the commitment they have for the cause of the people that made them to drive. Whatever is their age, whatever is the time, and if they are hungry also, it made them to drive. And when it comes to how it is motivated is, my mother was member of parliament in 7th and 9th, that's like 1980 to 84, and then 89 onwards. So we have seen the, on the invitation of Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu, the working women's hostel being constructed by AIWC. Then in the year 1982, we also started and constructed a working women's hostel, first of its kind in South India, for 125 women. So that is a great motivation where Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu has motivated us how to build the structures and infrastructure, how important it is, and also sustainable infrastructure, how it is. Because we build the institutions, but the sustainability is also very important. And the second thing which I can take up is, my mother was not elected or any kind of a reservation. So she always used to tell women coming on the mainstreaming or into the parliaments, that's what I want. It is not through any reservation, and due to the work which we are doing, the work that came up. So she really stood for the cause of women coming into the decision-making bodies. That's very important, where it make a difference. Maybe we can also start working on those lines to make the dreams of Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu to come to it, because we as an organization, we are working, creating leaders for change at the grassroots. Because to build the institutions, we need a bottom-up approach. By seeing all the visionaries, what we have learned is the visionaries should come from the bottom. They came from struggles, freedom struggle, but we haven't seen it. But we have different kind of struggles we are seeing in the current society. So we are working currently on those lines to gender equality and reaching the sustainable development goals. And we are also always tell local to global network is very, very important to make the gender equality a global movement. And now we have also, by seeing Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu, we have also started collaborating and networking with many institutions globally also to take no silence for violence. That's very important. And also where we can build the institutions with a comprehensive development is very important for the women, because women are never taken any kind of advantages or opportunities to go further. Because I visited with my mom number of programs which she has undertaken in Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh. It's a really eye-opener for me, because I'm a fresh postgraduate at that time. It has really given me a vision that how one can work, and also a great opportunity, golden opportunity for me to discuss with regard to some of the ideas relating to the development with Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah garu. It's a great tribute and honor for her that where she was able to contribute for the development of the women, which is sustainable. And thank you so much for all the team of AIWC and Sheila ji for giving me this opportunity. And we all will work together to uphold their values and also to taking their legacy forward. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very
Thank you
much.
so much, Kirti ji. That was indeed, as you said, the tirelessness and the passion that these ladies showed. They also show the way forward, and we are all in it together to, emulate them, to learn from them. There's so much to learn. The best part is the future. They have shown us the future, how to go about the current problems. It's just we have to look at what they said and the solutions are there. Thank you. Thank you, Kirti ji, for being with us. It was indeed a pleasure. Now is the time for reminiscences and remembrances by our senior members and patrons. First of all, I would like to share a video clip by Srimati Kunti Paul. She could not be here. So I would like to share what she said just now. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes,
is that
yes,
visible?
yes,
Yes.
Jyotika ji.
Yeah.
मिसेस रघुरमैया मेरी बहुत हेल्प करती थी और क्योंकि मैं उस वक्त स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में सबसे छोटी थी तो मुझे तो कुछ आता ही नहीं था मगर मेरी मिसेस रघुरमैया ने बहुत हेल्प की फिर जब मैं प्रेसिडेंट बन गई हूँ ऑल इंडिया वुमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस की तो जब मैं चेन्नई गई तो रघुरमैया ने मेरे ऑनर में अपने घर में खाना किया था तो सब हैरान थे कि देखो ये कैसे रघुरमैया को ये बात अभी तक याद रही है और मतलब मैं इतनी ग्रेटफुल हुई उनके लिए कि उन्होंने कैसे मुझे मान दिया मुझे जो एक प्रमोट करने वाली मैं समझती हूँ मिसेस रघुरमैया थी वैसे पीछे सरोजनी तपन में का भी मेरे साथ बहुत अच्छा कांटेक्ट रहा है और वो भी हमेशा मुझे हेल्प करती रही गाइड करती रही क्योंकि मैं बड़ी छोटी अवस्था में स्टैंडिंग कमेटी मेंबर बन गई थी और मुझे तो इतनी ज्यादा समझ थी नहीं इन सब ने मिलजुल के मुझे इस लायक बना दिया कि एक दिन मैं भी ऑल इंडिया वुमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस की प्रेसिडेंट बन गई 6 भगवान दास रोड जो इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग है इतना आडंबर है हमारा ये सब रघुरमैया की देन है क्योंकि उनके हस्बैंड भी अब मुझे ये तो याद नहीं कि किस डिपार्टमेंट के प्रेसिडेंट थे नहीं मिनिस्टर थे मगर उन्होंने भी हमारी बहुत हेल्प की और पंडित नेहरू भी हमें काफी हमारी ऑल इंडिया वुमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस को अच्छा समझते थे और जो भी कोई अच्छा कार्यक्रम आता था वो ऑल इंडिया वुमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस से करवाते थे और मिसेस रघुरमैया के ऊपर सबको पूरा विश्वास था मिसेस रघुरमैया के बाद मिसेस सरोजनी वर्धप्पन ने भी बहुत आगे बढ़ाया इसी तरह जितने भी प्रेसिडेंट आए हैं उन सब ने वुमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस को आगे ही बढ़ाया है रिजर्व बैंक का जो चीफ था उसे उसकी वाइफ को इसने सेक्रेटरी बनाया रघुरमैया ने और उससे हमें लोन लेना जो बहुत आसान हो गया था और ये जब बिल्डिंग इतनी बनाई है वो रघुरमैया ने बनाई है मगर लोन उसकी सेक्रेटरी के हस्बैंड ने वो लेके देती थी तो फिर धीरे धीरे करके हमने वो सारा लोन उतार दिया अभी बिल्डिंग शुरू नहीं हुई थी तो मैंने इसके लिए रिक्वेस्ट आई कि भाई कुछ डोनेट करना चाहिए तो मैंने बड़े धीरे से उठ के 100 रुपया डोनेट किया तो इसके बाद वहां पे सारे जितने ब्रांचेस आई हुई थी उन्होंने भी किसी ने 100 किसी ने 200 करके 8,000 रुपया हमारा वहां पे इकट्ठा हो गया उस जमाने में 8,000 रुपया बहुत कीमत रखता था
Yeah. So that was Mrs. Kunti Paul, our very senior patron, and she's sharing her insights and how she was helped. That's indeed so important for anyone in any organization. Now I would like to invite Srimati Veena Jain. I can see her. Mrs. Veena Jain, to share your views on because we could see in the pictures you were very young, One of your
Yutika,
earliest, yeah.
I feel give the opportunity for Janaki because Janaki wanted to explain better things. I will
Okay.
say some few points. I was closely worked with her, very closely. I used to go to her. मगर मैं अपने उसमें ही बताऊंगी. Let Janaki say it. After that, Janaki, I will.
Okay, okay. Okay, Mrs. Janki Rajaram. Yeah. You have to unmute yourself. Yes.
Thank you, Yutika ji. Good evening to everybody. Mrs. Raghuramaiyah and myself met for the first time in my in-laws' place at Madras in 1955, when she was residing in the Chetpet in that same city. Since then, I always was with her till her death. We came to Delhi in 1958. She also came to Delhi with Mr. Raghuramaiyah, who was then the aviation minister in Delhi at 59. She is a very rich lady and she owns several houses in Guntur in Andhra Pradesh and a huge paper printing factory. She wore many types of jewelry and gold anklets, payal. My mother-in-law had to take various types of ornaments for her daughters-in-laws and daughters. We both had the same goldsmith to make jewelry. She was a great listener of Carnatic music. She knew that I am also a Carnatic music singer. Whenever I am with her, she would insist me to sing her songs. Eventually, all the meetings of AIWC, I would start with my devotional songs only. In the year 1964, my husband, Mr. Rajam, took me to her home and requested her to induct me as a member of AIWC. That day was my birthday, 24th April. She presented a wristwatch, which is still in working order. And also gave me a joining letter. Next year, 1965, I was nominated as a secretary of New Delhi branch. Mrs. Raghuramaiyah was in the habit to read and write till midnight. She has written many books in English and Telugu. Andhra University given her doctorate degree. She was the president of AIWC as well as the president of New Delhi branch. She was residing at 14 Ashoka Road, where there was vegetarian kitchen for her and non-vegetarian kitchen for Mr. Raghuramaiyah. Her breakfast time was at 11 a.m. and she will come to AIWC office at Bhagwan Das Road, in the old building, at 11:30 a.m. and we'll go back home at 3 p.m. for her lunch. We were only 5 members in the office, namely Mr. Deepali Sengupta, Secretary at AIWC, myself to New Delhi branch of AIWC, Mr. Durga, typist, 1 accountant, 1 peon. She inducted more than 300 knowledgeable ladies to New Delhi branch like Sheila Kaul, Margaret Alva, Shamani Pathak, Padma Seth, Bhanumati Rao, Shamla Papu, Kamala Mankekar, Amrita Shah, and Kamala Ramji. Her dream was to construct a new office with working women's hostel, the huge concert hall. The way she will command, allocate the work to all of us that one cannot imagine. My job was to telephone and send the letters to desk officers of different ministries asking for funds regarding construction for our building. On those days, most of the desk officers were Tamilians, so that I got the appointments as per her desire. She requested Mr. Aga Khan to donate rupees 1 lakh to build the hall with a revolving stage on his name. It was arranged to meet Mr. Aga Khan in the Oberoi Hotel in Delhi at midnight, 12 o'clock. Mr. Raghuramaiyah sent her a car to pick up 3 of us, Deepali Sengupta, Nargis Rajkumar, and myself. After our dinner, Mr. Khan handed over a check for 1 lakh rupees to Mr. Raghuramaiyah. With all the sanctioned formalities of construction started, her next dream was to start a textile block printing center on the International Women's Day, which was declared by UN as 8th March 1975. He got a grant sanction for the project and gave the training for 12 girl students. I was the member in charge for the project. The center was named Abhay. The emblem is here. This symphony. Our next dream was to open a catering college and training center at the AIWC in Delhi. Mr. Tanga Phillips, close friend of Mr. Raghuramaiyah, was running catering college in Bombay. She sent 10 members, including me, to get the training for 15 days. Unfortunately, the project could not take off and we couldn't get the necessary grant.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Kuljit ji. Something happened.
Mr. Shanti Ranganathan was running a drug de-addiction.
Is it okay now? Yeah. Perfect.
Drug de-addiction rehabilitation unit with a 50-bedded center at Madras. Mrs. Raghuramaiyah sent 8 of us to have the training for 2 weeks. Within a month, we opened the center with the 20-bedded hospital in Bhajanpura, Delhi, with a grand sanction with the ministry. She had conducted numerous conferences of AIWC. She was a good orator. On 1979, Mrs. Raghuramaiyah I had to go to New York to attend the conference in International Alliance of Women for a week. 4 days before our travel date, Mr. Raghuramaiyah died in heart attack. He made a quick decision that I should go to New York with all the papers done by her. The meeting went off well. On the way back, I also attended the meeting of Soviet Women's Committee at Moscow for 3 days. Her write-up on Devdasi and prostitute was well appreciated in New York meeting and IAW. He was given an award for this by IAW and received in Delhi through the government of India. I was with Ms. Raghuramaiyah at her home in Chennai a week before of her death. That was the last I saw her. She dedicated her life towards social causes. She showered motherly attachment towards me. She was my mentor and guide. She comes often in my dreams. I miss her.
Thank you.
Please mute yourself.
Thank you, Janki ji. That was so touching, so moving. You got so emotional, and so were we, Carol. Especially the small souvenirs that you were showing. I mean, that transports us to that period. Thank you so much. It's also very interesting to know, if I may comment, so that how she wanted to create institutions within AIWC. That is how we would have sustainability, as the relatives and everyone said. Kirti ji also said that's the key, according to her. So we should learn from that instead of looking here and there. Yeah. Anyway, so Mrs. Veena Jain now.
Yutika, I must say she was a very dedicated person. And, all the time she was thinking for others, not for herself. Never. Should I say something? Some points. Now, most of the people, they have covered everything. But I want to say some memories which is in my mind. That I feel I was very close to her. And very young age, I joined AIWC. And I used to go to her house 14 Ashoka Road, where in her garage, she opened a new organization, women's voluntary organization. And I was in charge of that. I was the whole soul in charge of that. And she has started one tailoring center in that garage. And I was looking after. But when in the morning, and I was in Firosha Road, Patodi House, when I used to go in the morning, she always said that you have breakfast with me. She had dining table for 24 people, and husband and wife separately, they had this breakfast. because husband has also many people and wife also has many people. So I used to have breakfast with her. Idli and sambar and dosa and other and blah and blah and blah. This was my experience with her. And when she shifted to AIWC, even then, we carried our food at those times because we were not allowed to, without paying, or otherwise also not allowed to have a lunch in AIWC mess. So she said, no, don't carry. And she had a very good cook. And I like that masale wala bhuna aloo. She made very, very tasty, very nice. So I used to eat that, or every day she used to feed me that food. And I must say that her nature was to help others and very systematical. There was 2 girls in our office, typist, and one look after the office work. Both were unmarried. And one girl, when this building was constructed, they a girl, Vatsala, her name was Vatsala. Vatsala got in love with one of the engineer, and she came to know that they are in love, both are in love with each other. But the engineer was a Bengali person. So she herself, when she came to know, she didn't say anything. And she contacted engineer's family that our this daughter is a South Indian, and will you allow? They said no, we won't allow. So then she said, okay, then I will take the decision, and she has to marry with him. And that engineer was also ready. Then from house 14 Ashoka Road, she has all the functions. And जो हम लोगों के नॉर्थ में फंक्शन होते हैं, म्यूजिक, मेहंदी, and फेरास and शादी and सहनाई and music, everything. And she requested everyone, whatever you want to give, you give. कभी नहीं कहती थी, she never said कि ये दो, वो दो, we will give this thing. तो उन्होंने कहा जो देना है वो दो. So you can't believe that फ्रिज से लेकर के, डाइनिंग सेट से लेकर के 21 साड़ीज and 2 trucks of load of सामान उसकी शादी में गया. मगर उन्होंने शादी करी, अपने घर से करी, बिल्कुल. So this was her, we can say कि she was very firm, but she was very kind also. Very kind. Firm and kind. And in Madras, when I went with Mrs. Meena Kohli in her house, she made a kheer with chivda, and we didn't recognize. Then I asked, kaha ki kheer hai? Then she said, you will tell. I hope, I must know that you will tell. मैंने कहा कि this is chivda. कहने लगी, I know that you are the person who can say. This is chivda kheer. So these are the things, many things in my life. She heard her daughter must be here, and she used to come, and very slim and trim, and her sons also used to come to visit her. And all the, if I am not wrong, if you are around here, Patappanji, you must have remembered, all the blouses was stitched in Delhi. There was a tailor in Curzon Road, so he used to stitch your blouses, a typical type of blouses. So very good memories I have, lot of memories I have. And she was so particular. At that time, that young age, I joined a very early age. So I was a charming girl. So she said one minister was Mr. Kapoor, and he used to call the meetings for women. So he said, no, Bina will not go to Kapoor's meeting. So these are the things जो आपको touch करती हैं, you know. It's very touching. She won't go. She will वहाँ नहीं जाए, because his character was not very good character. So she said no, she won't go. So like this, many memories I have, and she gave me many sarees. You are very fond of sarees. So जब भी वो South जाती थी, she always, when she comes, she gave me the saree. And work-wise also, she was very firm. There was a flood in Bulandshahr, and she went, matlab, she said herself in the cart, in kitchen, mud and everything, but she went herself. And I
आवाज
also
नहीं आ
went.
रही है बीना जी.
है जी?
You
है
go
जी?
on. No, it's okay. आवाज आ रही है शिवानी जी, आ रही है बीना जी की आवाज, बहुत अच्छे से आ रही है. आप प्लीज गो ऑन. या
हाँ, तो वहां खुद हमारे साथ जाती थी. उन्होंने कभी ये नहीं कहा कि मैं यहाँ नहीं जाऊंगी, आप लोग करके आओ, आप लोग करके आओ. Everywhere she used to go. Everywhere she used to go. उनको ये कोई नहीं था कि I am the president, I am this thing, I am that thing. But she got a lot of respect of. That was her personality. So, and one incident I want to tell. Maybe other people must be say something. एक उन्होंने she organized a annual conference in Guntur. So she told me that you go in my fields and जा घूम करके आ जा. So I went there, but her caretaker in that field with the danda, वो मेरे पीछे पड़ गया. So she said, नहीं, how you are there to enter in this field? So I said, madam said, Mrs. Raghuramaiyah, he didn't understand my language. So then I came back and I was so restless. So she said, what happened? I said, oh, he's after me in my life. So I gave her, she has a big laugh. And one more thing I want to tell you, that when she took as the president, her mother gave her a golden work sari that was cost 10,000 rupees at that time, because she told me this sari my mother gave, it is costing 10,000 rupees, and you know, it was a great thing. So small things she used to share with me. And also when her mother died, she took me to Banaras, अपनी मदर की गंगा में वो बहाने के लिए अस्थि, तो मैं उनके साथ गई थी. तो इस तरीके की बहुत से इंसिडेंट मेरे पास हैं, मगर मेरा हर टाइम nearly 5 o'clock. So I don't want to. Sarojini ji, you didn't remember me. I remember you. You used to come to that Himawant at the back of the building. She used to stay in that house. Himawat. Yeah. So I remember everything. So thank you very much. You gave me an opportunity to say a few words, because a lot of things I have written, a lot of things in my memory. So no point to continue, because everyone knows about her. Everyone worked closely with her. She was a very nice person, very affectionate person. This I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Veena ji. Thank you so much. I'm sure you're also lucky to have done your apprenticeship, sort of internship under her.
Yeah.
Learned so much. Yeah, that was such a good.
And very उनकी foresightedness बहुत थी. You know, when you remember 72 years in 1972, there was a first expo जो exhibition हुई थी यहाँ पे.
Asia something, yeah.
Something, Asia बाद में नाम हुआ था उसका. Then she opened a canteen there. And she made me the in charge of that canteen. And she said there is no canteen for ordinary people to come and have tea because it's very expensive. So we used to give them 1 rupee a cup of tea and 2 rupees a samosa. For those days.
जी संभाल के रखने तब काम आते अभी कितने महंगे हैं
ना मैंने बहुत पैसे कमाए
तो आप लोग बनाते भी थे you made those samosas
हाँ हाँ वहाँ उन्होंने वो उनका जो आज भी आपके इसमें बंगाली मार्केट में शॉप है कृष्णा एंड लक्ष्मी they used to supply मतलब वो सारा grocery and other things and वहाँ पे cook I was supervising only.
That's so good.
And her character was like this, Yutika. One more thing in this connection. Once in counting the money, once I lost or something, 3 rupees. 3 rupees. So I was counting and I opened my bag and I had 3 rupees in that and I handed over to her. Kathy, what are you doing? I said, 3 rupees are less. She said, no. I said, but I am feeling bad. She said, no, I won't take. Every day you are earning such a 10,000, 12,000. So what is 3 rupees?
In those days, 3 rupees were a lot, I believe.
Yeah.
It was like 30 or 300. Anyway, so that was so good
Thank
to hear.
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Veena Jain. It was so good to hear. Now let's go over to the next remembrance by Mrs. Veena Kohli. Are you there? Our patron, Mrs. Veena Kohli, has to say something.
Yeah, all this brings a lot of memories of our younger days. I think I was in my 40s when I became a member of the Delhi Women's League. And Mrs. Jain took me to meet Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. And it was very memorable that day for me because she took me to the cottage, which was called Himavat, which is still called Himavat, but that's the place she used to live in. So when I met her, she met me very nicely. She hugged me as if I had become part of her fold, as a member of Delhi Women's League since she was the president. So it was I still remember, it was like a bear hug, like a mother. Now you are part of us. That was the feeling. And made me sit beside her. She looked very charming, very cultured lady. Offered her some of the South Indian snacks and gave me my first lesson of social work. She scanned me quite a lot, up and down, why, who, why you want to join this organization, what you can do. And soon after that, she gave me a project which really laid the foundation of my work and which gave me an insight on the requirements and the needs of the women. This was a project in a village, which is on the periphery, and Veena ji knows about it. And we did this mini family welfare program, which was also funded, by the way, by some, I think it was funded by the Ministry of Women and Child. But she put so much trust in me that I was really, I felt very much welcomed and wanted to continue to work for AIWC. Of course, her hospitality was great. The hospitality in Chennai, when we went to visit her, we stayed with her. And I remember she gave me a lavender colored sari with a printed blouse. I mean, it was quite a modern, it's quite modern now. Usually it used to be have a matching blouse, but she gave me a printed blouse and it looked very nice with this lavender colored sari, which I wore later on also. So after that, I did not have so much of an interaction with her, but I always was in awe of her and the greatness of her vision that she made this building, which has sustained AIWC for such a long time. It has given livelihood to so many of our staff members, and we have been able to conduct so many programs through this building and also increase the prestige of AIWC. Now AIWC is very well known in Delhi. And of course, when you say, oh, our office is 6 Bhagwan Das Road, everybody's eyes go up and ears go up. I mean, it's a great prestigious building and a great prestige to our organization. So thank you so much for listening to me. And I certainly have hold her in great in her greatness. I remember her, and I also would like to give a tribute to her by saying, thank you, Lakshmi ji. Thank you very much for wherever you are, for giving us a legacy that you have left for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Veena Kohli. That was, we are all grateful. A grateful AIWC pays its homage today through these reminiscences. Indeed, I mean, they used to pose so much faith in, they used to repose so much faith in the youngsters. You know, that is very good. And that made them confident and work and move forward. That was so good to do. We must learn that. Then now we have our next patron, Mrs. Rakesh Dhawanji. Are you? Yeah, Rakesh ji. Over to you for your remembrances.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful way to remember, not the old one, but a beautiful way to remember the golden memories of our people who has given their life. There we have to live very happily. I'm thankful to all the office bearers of the AIWC. I start my quote I took from Times of India when Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah has said, let the menfolk ridicule, censure and mock at our attempt to stand on our own feet. We must march on our own goal of economic independence. What the beautiful word she says. हमें किसी के ऊपर डिपेंड नहीं होना, हमने गोल अपने आप निर्धारित करना है. और लक्ष्मी जी ने एक बीज, छोटा सा बीज बोया जो एक वट वृक्ष के रूप में इतना बड़ा बन गया, उसकी इतनी शाखाएं जो आज हमारी ब्रांचेस के रूप में विकसित हैं और हम सब अपने आप को इतना सुरक्षित महसूस करते हैं और हमें लगता है कि हर शाखा, हर ब्रांच अपने में एक अलग तरीके से एक नया पुष्प देती है. हम देखिए ब्रांचेस में कमियां भी होती हैं, कुछ कमजोर हैं, कुछ बहुत स्ट्रांग हैं, लेकिन AIWC का एक स्वभाव रहा है कि जो कमजोर शाखा है उसको सुरक्षित रखो, उसको इतनी खाद दो कि वो भी जो बाकी ब्रांचेस पनप रही हैं उनकी तरह हो जाए. यही हमें AIWC के से सीखते हैं. और मेरी जो खास मेमोरीज लक्ष्मी जी के साथ हैं, हालांकि बहुत कम समय मिला मुझे उनके साथ रहने में, फिर भी कुछ यादें मेरी उनके साथ जुड़ी हैं. जब मैं AIWC की मेंबर एज ए बनी तो उन्होंने तब पद्मा सेठ उस समय हमारी सेक्रेटरी जनरल थी. रघुरमैया जी ने पद्मा जी से कहा कि पद्मा, राकेश को बोलो AIWC ज्वाइन करे और अपनी एक शाखा बनाए, लेकिन ये लड़की अपनी शाखा विलेज में बनाएगी, शहर में नहीं बनाएगी. पता नहीं उनको क्या मालूम था कि वाकई उनकी ये जो मनोकामना है कि वो मेरे में पूर्ति लाएगी। और सबसे बड़ी बात,
म्यूट हो गए राकेश जी, आप म्यूट हो गए हैं।
फाइन, नाउ यू कैन लिसन मी।
या
हाँ, सबसे अच्छी बात है कि उनका यही मोटिवेशनल वे था किसी को आगे ले जाने के लिए, और हम सब उनके आभारी हैं कि वो कितने अच्छे तरीके से हम सबको संजो के रखती थी। बहुत अधिक न कहते हुए एक छोटा इंसिडेंट बताऊंगी कि जब मैं प्रेसिडेंट बन के अखिल भारतीय महिला परिषद में जिस दिन आई, तो मैंने, जो इस समय महावन है उसको अब ट्रस्टी हाउस कहते हैं, मैं शाम के समय उस ट्रस्टी हाउस में गई तो मैंने 2 फोटोग्राफ देखी वहां पड़ी हुई। एक बहुत बड़ा पोर्ट्रेट था हंसा मेहता का और दूसरा रघुरमैया जी का। जैसे ही मैंने देखा कि रघुरमैया जी, अरे इनके ऊपर कितनी धूल जमी हुई है, मैंने वो फोटो उठाई। तब मुझे ध्यान नहीं है कि कौन था वहां पर, मनी था, मनी नहीं, उससे पहले जो उसने कहा, कहने मैंने कहा ऐसा करो, ये तुम मेरे कमरे में ले आओ। बोले मैडम आप क्या करोगे? मैंने कहा ऐसा है, मुझे इस कमरे में जो ड्राइंग रूम है इसके इसमें एक कील गाड़ो और ये फोटो मुझे यहाँ लगा के रखो, ताकि जब मैं सुबह रोज उठूं तो मैं इनके दर्शन करके अपना काम शुरू करें। दिस इज द वे आई रिमेम्बर। और स्टिल आई थिंक शीला जी ने जो फोटो दिखाई, मुझे वो पुरानी याद आ गई कि उस फोटो को हमने कैसे, मैं ये नहीं कहती निरादर करा, लेकिन हमने अपने जो लोग हैं उनकी जो मूर्तियां हैं जो हैं हमें संजो के रखनी चाहिए। ये नहीं कि एक आया उसे अलग से एक रख दिया, धूल फाक रही है, उसके बाद हम उनको यादों में याद करें। बट I must say we should remember our seniors, even seniors, junior, एक अच्छे तरीके से उनकी यादें संजो के रखें। और इसीलिए मैं जब 3 साल वहां रही, मैं रोज सुबह उठ के पहला प्रणाम रघुरमैया जी को करती थी, फिर अपने कमरे में जाके अपने चाय के लिए जाती थी। तो यही कुछ शब्द थे, मैं बहुत अधिक नहीं कह रही क्योंकि सबने बहुत कुछ कह लिया है। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ अपनी भावपूर्ण श्रद्धांजलि देते हुए अपनी वाणी को विराम करती हूँ। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच राकेश।
राकेश जी, मैं भी रोज वही करती हूँ। पहले मैंने, आपने देखा होगा वो फोटो।
यस,
That's such a lovely tribute to a great lady.
बहुत इंस्पिरेशन मिलती है।
बहुत ज्यादा, बहुत ऐसा लगता है कोई हमारे पास है।
बिल्कुल,
हमें मार्गदर्शन दे रहा है।
स्टैचू का भी वही वैसे ही होता है।
नहीं, और हमें लगता है कोई हमें मार्गदर्शन दे रहा है और कहीं हम गलत काम कर रहे हैं तो हमें ऊपर से वो देख रहा है, इसलिए वी आर नॉट सपोज टू डू एनी रॉन्ग वर्क। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you so much, Rakesh ji. That was such a lovely tribute. Thank you. Now I would like to invite our Vice President, AIWC Vice President, Mrs. Suman Yadav. Suman ji, are you there? Suman Yadav ji.
नमस्कार, थैंक यू युक्तिका जी।
Yeah, you can.
मुझे सिर्फ 1 ही मिनट बोलना है क्योंकि सबने सब कुछ कह दिया है, पर जो मेरी भी बहुत अच्छी पुरानी मेमोरीज है, मैंने भी अपनी बहुत यंग एज से उनके साथ काम किया। मैं शुरू में नेहरू बाल समिति से अटैच थी, तो हमने सनलाइट कॉलोनी में वी डिड सम वर्क एंड वी कॉल्ड लक्ष्मी जी एंड कमला मनकेकर, और उन्होंने कहा कि तुम अपनी ब्रांच बनाओ, नहीं तो तुम हमारे साथ आ जाओ। खैर वो लंबी कहानी है। मैंने ज्वाइन कर लिया दिल्ली वुमेन लीग और मैं बहुत दिन उनके साथ काम करती रही। But when I was expecting my son, so I left. Not left, I stopped going to the office. And then she, through Mrs. She called me again, where is that girl who is to come? And she was अम्मा to us. जैसे ये सब कह रहे हैं कि हिमवावत में हम जाते थे और कभी ऐसा नहीं होता था कि we'll not have lunch with her. She will always insist that you must eat with me. And she was very, very fond of this young generation, including me. When this building was inaugurated, तो हमने पूरी रात बैठ के, from her sarees we made curtain
for the Aga Khan Hall के आगे जो placard लगा है, और Mrs. Padma Seth के, she was in Mahadev Road. We went to her house. We took curtains from her house, took out the rings from her curtains and stitched the curtains with Mrs. Raghuramaiyah's sarees. Whole night we were there, मैं, Janki, or Padma Seth. So we were only 3 people we were allowed on the stage to garland the guests when Indira Gandhi and Aga Khan came. And एक जो मुझे quality उनकी बहुत पसंद थी, she used to write everything, even on old newspaper की जो edges होती है ना, when she was reading newspaper, she will write something, she will remember and she will write on the edge of the newspaper. She will not waste any paper. शौकीन बहुत थी, she used to love good sarees, good clothes, but she never liked thin sarees. In those days, in UP and Delhi, what we used to do in summer, we used to wear cotton, and winter we used to wear silk. But she would never like those thin sarees, chiffon and cotton. She will always check me, why you wear such thin sarees? And we used to travel together. In those days, the president and secretaries and everybody was traveling when we used to go to conferences. The first conference I attended was Patna. पहली कॉन्फ्रेंस मैंने वहाँ अटेंड करी थी, बिकॉज माय किड्स वर यंग, उससे पहले मैं नहीं जाती थी. तो बहुत अच्छा लगता था, बिकॉज वी यूज्ड टू गो टुगेदर इन द बस और इन द ट्रेन. पूरी बोगीज हम लोगों की बुक हो जाया करती थी. वी यूज्ड टू गो टू देयर, सो मच ऑफ फूड वी यूज्ड टू कैरी. एंड I also got a sari from her which she gave me, because she used to say, मोटा साड़ी पहना करो, ये क्या पहनते हो तुम लोग. Chiffons she never liked. And as everybody talked about the state of AIWC, I call it a state, it's not a building. It's a huge state we own now because of her. मेरे पास भी युतिका जी आपको देने के लिए उनके लेटर्स, हैंड रिटन लेटर्स हैं. और मिसेस वर्धप्पन के भी हैंड रिटन लेटर्स हैं. अच्छा, एक क्वालिटी जो मिसेस रघुरामैया में थी, she will write such a long letter inquiring about your children, about your husband, everybody. And हम जैसे आलसी लोग उस टाइम में, या छोटे बच्चे थे, काम नहीं होता था, बहुत टाइम नहीं होता था, 15 दिन में, महीने में उनके लेटर का जवाब देते थे. नेक्स्ट डे उनका लेटर फिर आ जाता था. Why you girls are so lazy? Why can't you write 2 lines? And whenever I used to write a very small letter, every time what to write about the family and everything, the kids were small, nothing was new in it, in telling her, and she will inquire again about everybody with the long inland letters आते थे उस जमाने में, उसमें लिखा करती थी. I would still preserve them. I can give it to you if you will keep it in the library.
Sure, most welcome. Yeah.
And
please
even Mrs. Vardhappan's letters are there. तो अच्छा लगता है. और जानकी और पद्मा सेठ के साथ काम करते थे. हम लोगों को वो सोचती थी ये यंगस्टर्स हैं, ये लोगों को शायद ट्रेनिंग भी इसी बहाने मिलती रहती थी कि लगाए रखो किसी ना किसी काम में. मैंने जब मेरा बेटा हुआ तो उससे पहले मैंने थोड़े दिन के लिए छोड़ दिया, तो फिर उन्होंने मुझे मिसेस चावला, कृष्णा चावला के थ्रू बुलवाया कि वो लड़की कहाँ खो गई, उसको बुलाओ गई. एंड आई वाज इन माय लेट 20s. I had no time for all this, but still I worked with her and I got trained because of her, and I pay my respect to her, and I'm really grateful to her that she has really, because of her I could continue. Otherwise शायद मैं जब बच्चा हुआ था मेरा तो मैं छोड़ देती, पर मैं जाती रही उन्हीं के बहाने, कुछ उनके डर से, कुछ उनके प्यार से. क्योंकि स्कोल्डिंग भी हमें बहुत मिलती थी. जब अगर हम ऑफिस जाते थे, नई बिल्डिंग बन रही थी, तो सीधे अगर चले जाते थे, हिमावत में नहीं जाते थे, तो she used to sit in her drawing room, which is that window, big window in pass में, and she used to see who is gone there. So first we had to pay the respect to her, and then enter the building. And these are the sweet memories I have.
That's
Thank
really
you so much for giving.
Thank you so much.
And I'll give you the letters.
Yeah,
It's
please.
very
Yeah,
good.
शीला जी.
रेहाना.
आज रेहाना जी. आशा गंभीर जी का भी नाम है. अभी पहले
रेहाना जी को बुला लो.
हाँ, रेहाना जी और ट्रेजरर, प्रेजेंट ट्रेजरर ऑफ AIWC. प्लीज, ओवर टू यू रेहाना जी.
Yes.
कुलजीत, म्यूट.
दिखता है?
हाँ, दिख रहा है। मैं
हाँ, it is an honor to share the memories of our past president, patron, Srimati Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, amongst such accomplished senior leaders. I have been given the opportunity to present and share my experience with all of you regarding our honorable late patron, Mrs. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. In June 1999, All India Women's Conference Half-Yearly Conference was hosted by Pondicherry branch. This is the inaugural session, lighting of the traditional lamp by Her Excellency Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry, Mrs. Rajini Rai, who was the chief guest. We all can see the stalwarts of the AIWC. कलावती जी हैं, ये गवर्नर हैं, साई कुमारी जी, हमारे रेस्पेक्टेड बीना जी, अशोका गुप्ता और कुंती जी खड़े हैं. 18 June every year, Madam Lakshmi ji birthday was celebrated. In 1999, it was her 80th birthday, and all the members present sang birthday songs and gave her birthday wishes. This photo is the sweet memory of the celebration. A woman's best jewelry is her shyness. देखो मैडम कितना शर्मा रहे हैं. ये उम्र में भी शर्मा रहे हैं, तो बहुत देखने का लिए बहुत अच्छा था. सारे हंस रहे हैं, इनके बर्थडे मनाई जा रहा है. On the day in June 1999, Her Excellency Lieutenant Governor Mrs. Rajini Rai hosted dinner in honor of AIWC leaders and delegates. In this photograph, you can see all the important senior members in relaxing mood after the hectic day, and the Lieutenant Governor seems to be in serious discussion with the patrons. इसमें लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर डॉक्टर रजनी राय, हमारे लक्ष्मी रघुरामैया जी और कुंतीपाल जी बैठे हैं, सरोजिनी वरदप्पन जी, लक्ष्मी ललिता बालकृष्णन जी, छोटी है. हाँ, इसको बड़ा करो फोटो. हाँ, अब हाँ, अच्छा. और हमारे साई कुमारी जी ऑफ पांडिचेरी, ललिता बालकृष्णन जी, सारे बैठे हुए हैं, रिलैक्सिंग से बात कर रहे हैं. Another memorable photo of the senior members. Stalwarts of South. ये टीम होती थी, साई कुमारी जी के पीछे एक बड़ी आर्मी थी. ये आर्मी अभी भी ब्रांच के काम कर रही है. इसमें मैं इधर हूं. सारे रिलैक्सिंग मूड में देख रहे हैं. A dinner was hosted by late Mrs. Sai Kumari ji at her residence. You can see AIWC leaders sharing the moments with love and harmony, giving the message, we are one. आज ऐसे मौके के लिए इधर टाइम नहीं है और मौके भी नहीं होते हैं किसी के घर को कोई जाने का. कार्ड ऑफ थैंक्स फॉर द बर्थडे सेलिब्रेशन एट पांडिचेरी. उस दिन में ये कुछ भी चला तो ये खत लिखते थे. आज तो व्हाट्सएप आने के बाद खत लिखना भूल दिए, ईमेल आने पर हम लेटर लिखना छोड़ दिए. ऐसे बहुत कुछ हमारे छूट के जा रहे हैं, मगर इनका लेटर इतना महत्वपूर्ण लिखता है. उस दिन में एक कार्ड थैंक्स सो मच और बी नाइस टू फॉर बीइंग सो नाइस, ये सब डाल के एक कार्ड भेजा हुआ था. She was a brave and courageous lady and was never afraid to say her suggestions and advise the finance committee meetings, and directed the management to work more for the needy and children. She worked with the UN various capacities as an NGO. ये साई कुमारी जी ने कई बार हमको उनके बारे में बताने में ये बोलते थे. ये एक लेटर था, इसमें लिखा हुआ था थैंक्स गिविंग लेटर रिटन बाई late patron Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah ji when she received 2002 New Year greetings from late Madam Sai Kumari ji. Since patron Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah ji was not keeping good health, she wrote, "My dear Sai Kumari, thank you very much for your New Year greetings. May I really and we इसमें क्या लिखा है?
Reciprocate and wish.
Great.
May I reciprocate and wish you
and wish you a very happy, prosperous, and successful year. My earnest request that I could not send my greetings earlier due to indifferent health and hospitalization. With love and greetings, with all best wishes for the new year and warm regards. Yours sincerely, dated 18/1/02. Postscript: hope to meet you when you visit Madras. I am following all Pondi politics in the papers. With love, blessings and regards, your CLK. कितने शब्द इतने अच्छे लगते हैं ये सब देखने में. जब जब साई कुमारी जाते थे उनके नंबर 7 हैरिंगटन रोड पर, मुझे भी वो ले जाते थे. उनका घर बहुत बड़ा था, तो 4 हिस्सों का बड़ा बड़ा हॉल था. उसमें एक एक जगह भी एक एक रकम की फर्नीचर होती थी. एक जगह झूला होता था, एक बार सोफा सेट, एक जगह दूसरा दूसरा, ये सब होता था. आफ्टर ये सब देखने के बाद इनके चौधरी जी ने कई बार पांडिचेरी आए हैं साई कुमारी जी को मिलने के लिए. मिस्टर चौधरी जी, डू यू रिमेम्बर? वो नहीं है, अच्छा रहने दो. लाइफ ब्रिंग्स टीयर्स, स्माइल्स एंड मेमोरीज. द टीयर्स ड्राई, the smiles fade, but the memories last forever. By me and members of Pondicherry Women's Conference, AIWC, Pondicherry branch. Thank you.
Such a lovely tribute. Thank you, Rehana ji.
Thank you, ji.
So with her writing and all you have shown. So may I ask who's my ignorance? Who's the Sai Kumari ji? Who was your president?
Sai Kumari ji is the Pondicherry branch को पहले शुरू करे थे.
Okay.
She is my patron. Of the Pondicherry branch.
Yeah, I got. Okay, that's
her mentor also, Rehana's mentor.
My mentor.
Rehana has got great love and regard for her. No? Her side.
Yeah.
Rehana, I must congratulate you. I must congratulate you from a core of my heart to what you have presented and given your tribute to Lakshmi ji. Hats to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Such nice photographs. Can you give some of these to us?
Yes, yes.
In the library.
Yes, to the library. I will send some more also.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you. We complete the collection from Pondicherry.
Please note, they're all in color now.
Yeah.
No more black and white pictures, all in color.
Yeah, we should note the transition that has taken place suddenly.
They were colorful people, that's why, Supriya.
So we go over to Mrs. Asha Gambhir. She was earlier Secretary General of AIWC some years ago. Asha ji, are you there? And she's currently member advisor of the Usual Women's Association. Mrs. Asha Gambhir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, fine. Rehana ji, can you stop presenting?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rehana. Yeah, Asha ji. Yeah, perfect.
Good evening, everybody.
Can we have your video also?
Let me see. Let me switch on my video.
That will be good.
Give me a minute.
Sure.
ना ऊपर की बाजू है बार.
जी मैम. हो गया ना.
I'm trying to switch on my video.
Okay, it's okay if it's okay otherwise also. Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Okay, good evening, everybody. It's been a very eventful evening. We've walked the journey of AIWC. All that I have to say is that I joined AIWC when Mrs. Raghuramaiyah was the president. So my interaction with her was not on personal 1:1, but Mrs. Jain introduced me, and the executive secretary of Mrs. Raghuramaiyah, Nargis Dutt, was a personal friend of mine. And she and I wanted to do something for the society. So Nargis introduced me to the organization and I joined the organization. I think today's biggest tribute we can pay to Mrs. Raghuramaiyah is that the existence of this building in Delhi. We are so comfortable. It's like a home for all of us in Delhi. All the social workers who are members of the AIWC, it's like coming home. मायके आते हैं ना, माँ के घर में आते हैं, तो हम मायके आते हैं, and we feel very good. It was the time when I joined that the building was being constructed, and I had a lot of interaction with Nargis. I remember जो आज बापलू घर है, वहाँ पर ऑफिस होता था और वहाँ हम बैठते थे और सब ये सब इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था. तो कितनी फास्ट साइटेड और फास्ट
मक्खन कैसे सुना?
How fast-sighted was she, who thought ahead of her times? कि कभी भी किसी के आगे हाथ नहीं फैलाए. We should not go around with a begging bowl to the ministry or to anybody for our sustainability. We are today sustainable on our own. हमें किसी के आगे हाथ नहीं फैलाना पड़ता. We hold our head high and we do all our projects. So I'm not going to take much time. We are running quite late, but this is our biggest tribute to Mrs. Raghuramaiyah, and we should remember her very fondly and say thank you ever so much for giving us a home over here in Delhi. Thank you, Sheila ji, and thank you, Yutika.
Thank you, Asha ji. That was a great tribute. You have done जैसे निचोड़ के रख दिया, सारा जिस्ट आपने बता दिया. Thank you. In the end. It was so good.
Yutika ji, I think we have come to the end, but still you can ask if anyone else wants to say something.
Yeah, that's what I was
Shivani
coming.
ji wants to say something. Shivani Mehta ji.
Then call her.
Shivani ji and
Thank you.
someone else who later maybe one or two more. Yeah. Shivani ji.
हाँ, थैंक यू. लक्ष्मी जी के बारे में सबने सब बताया, लेकिन मैं एक और बताना चाहती हूँ कि जब वो पुरानी बिल्डिंग जो दिखाई आशा जी आपने, वो पुरानी बिल्डिंग टूटने वाली थी, और इसके पहले वो जो बोले थे वो सब मुझे याद आता है कि उसने वहीं से हमारी गुजरात ब्रांच को बोला था कि भाई ये नई वर्किंग विमेंस हॉस्टल की ग्रांट मिल रही है, मिनिस्ट्री ने ये नया किया है, तो आप लोग गुजरात में करो, क्योंकि मेरे जो सीनियर्स थे कुमुद बहन और इंदु बहन, वो उनसे ज्यादा नजदीक थे, और उस टाइम मैं गुजरात की वाइस प्रेसिडेंट थी, तो वहीं के लिए वो सभी यहाँ का इस तरह से आप करो, इस तरह से लैंड ले लो, ऐसे अप्लाई करो वगैरह सब गाइडेंस करके हम लोन के लिए आए थे. और 15 या 20 मार्च के बीच में कोई डेट थी कि पाइपलाइन आप आ जाओ, अभी खत्म होने वाली है, ये मार्च एंडिंग है तो आपको मिल जाएगी ग्रांट. तो उस टाइम हम वहाँ आए थे और आपने जो पुरानी बिल्डिंग दिखाई, वो पुरानी बिल्डिंग के पीछे केडी हॉस्टल के साइड पर एक दरवाजा था, और वहाँ 2 कॉट रखे थे और 2 चेयर्स रखी थी. उनके साथ खाना खाने के बाद हम वहीं आए थे, और वो जो बात कर रही थी वो मेरे मन में अभी भी कार्विंग की तरह रह गई है. उसने, कुमुदन था मेरी सीनियर, उसने पूछा कि लक्ष्मी, हम क्यों इस तरह से इस उम्र में जब सभी लोग आराम से घर पे बैठते हैं, काम से भी रिटायर्ड होते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है हम क्यों ऐसी भागा दौड़ी करते हैं. तभी उसने जो जवाब दिया था कि कुमुद देखो, अभी तो हम 40 इयर्स के हैं, 43 ऐसा कुछ बोला था, और इतने हैं, लेकिन हम चाहते हैं अगर कि AIWC का नाम 100 साल तक तो रहना ही चाहिए, तो हम जैसे लोगों को ही दौड़ा भागी करनी पड़ेगी. अपार्ट फ्रॉम अवर लग्जरी, अवर रेस्ट एंड अवर एज, हमें दौड़ना पड़ेगा. आई वॉज जस्ट अ लिसनर एट दैट टाइम, लेकिन उन जैसे को हमें देख के मिलेगी प्रेरणा कि हमें ऐसा भविष्य में करना है, बिकॉज दे आर द टॉर्च बेरर. हम तो चले जाएंगे, फिर आगे कौन ले जाएगा. और एक दूसरी बात कि अब हम कितना भी पैसा इकट्ठा करना है हम कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अभी आगे का टाइम जो आएगा वो टाइम में इट विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट. तो अगर हम चाहते हैं कि सब लोग काम करें, सभी महिलाएं बाहर आए, तो हमें सेल्फ सस्टेनेबल रहना है, और इसीलिए हमें ये दौड़ा भागी करनी है. इट इज वेरी वेल. और शीला जी, कैन यू हियर मी युथिका?
Yes. बोलिए.
और शीला, हाँ, शीला जी
मैं
एक
हूँ,
और भी
बोलिए।
है। हाँ, वो जो उसने सरोजिनी जी को जब चार्ज दिया
हाँ
79 में,
हाँ
तब उसने जो लेक्चर दिया था मीटिंग में,
हाँ
तो इट इज वर्थ हियरिंग वो सबको। लेकिन मेरे पास अभी वो एग्जैक्ट राइटिंग नहीं है, आप लाइब्रेरी में से ले लेना। सरोजिनी जी का चार्ज लेने का था और शी वॉज गिविंग द चार्ज, और उस टाइम उसने जो बोला था वो अभी आज के भी सभी मेंबर्स के लिए गाइडलाइंस जैसा है कि काम क्या करना है, सोशल वर्क क्या है, कैसे करना है। थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग मी अ चांस।
Thank you,
And
Shivani
thank you
ji.
very much
Thank
for
you.
It
remembering
was wonderful.
all the patrons, past patrons, so all can know that how we have to work further.
Exactly.
Thank you again. And bye to everybody. Glad to meet all the olders. Very happy to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani ji. That was so good. You have drawn our attention to the guidelines. That's so important. And secondly, we are about to be 100-year-old. And thanks
Yes.
to the energy and the wishes and the work of all these ladies who were before us, we have to, I mean, they have made it sustainable.
Only 6 years left.
Yeah, the countdown has begun.
Yes.
So, with these words, anyone else amongst the audience who would like to say something? Some words of someone from Andhra Pradesh, maybe the Andhra Pradesh branches. Is there anyone?
एक्चुअली विजया रामानुजन से मेरी बात हुई थी, उन्होंने भी कहा था मैं बोलूंगी, बट शी कुडंट जॉइन, आई थिंक
नहीं आ पाई. Okay, so we close the program now with the
network is very bad in her area.
हाँ.
Vijaya ji's area, you know, the network is really bad.
Maybe she could have sent a small clip, but anyway, now this we have I think we have covered
Actually, Yutika, I just wanted to bring to the notice of people that when I started reading about Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah, actually all this social work has been inculcated in her right from her childhood days, because she went to a school in Madnapalli and then college, Theosophical College, where Margaret Cousins has guided her. So you can imagine how, you know, what kind of impact she's had right from the beginning. So her thought process and thinking, line was developed due to Margaret Cousins.
Oh, that's how, I mean, she has really been influential, Margaret Cousins, to upbringing and honing of the skills in these ladies. So many of them we have heard down the line. And that's why rightly we call the library as the Margaret Cousins Memorial Library.
Right.
It's still
We'll have to re-look at the presidential address which Shivani ji mentioned.
1979.
1979 ka.
Have done
While
it
giving
here.
away the charge.
Yeah. Okay, so I take pleasure in now closing this session. Indeed, a very fruitful session. And I would, to propose a formal vote of thanks, I would like to invite our Joint Secretary, Mrs. Supriya Bhalerao, who's been also, as you heard in the beginning, designing the invites and been doing a lot of research for all the presidents. Over to you, Supriya, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Yutika. Here I am, Supriya Bhalerao, to deliver vote of thanks, formal vote of thanks from AIWC. Firstly, I want to thank Mrs. Sheila Kakade, as usual. We can't just, thank her enough. Our president, who's conceiving this idea, has conceived this idea and of presenting all the past presidents right from 1927 till date. A meticulous effort was put in, and very sincerely each president was studied and presented. In fact, over the period of time, like I said last time, these presentations have improved a lot. And today we are presenting in the 19th session our 29th and 30th president of AIWC. Thank you, Sheila ji, for beginning it. I also thank Mrs. Kuljit Kaur, our Secretary General, and Mrs. Rehana Begum, our Treasurer, for involving themselves with keen interest and doing the research and presenting the presidents also. The next one is going to be presented by Mrs.
Yes.
Rehana ji. Sarojini Vardappan, our 31st president.
Yes, WIA and Rehana ji.
Yeah, true. Actually, let me first thank our guest speakers. Dr. Simi Bhagat, with that great presentation, she did a lot of work, to put in the PPT together with a beautiful picture gallery. I also thank Ms. Shant Manige and Shalini Pandit for giving us a glimpse into Mrs. Tarabai's personal life. Then I also thank Mrs. Divya Jnana Sarojini Devi Varadarajan for being with us today and presenting, her thoughts on Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. And thank you for being with us till the end, because now
Yes,
it's
thank you very
3
much.
hours.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Mhm. And I also thank her sons, Dr. K.V. Srinivasan, for telling us about her work and sharing a lot of new things about our past president, and Mr. J. Venkatesham Reddy for sharing his own personal experiences and giving us a pleasant surprise that he also turns out to be her brother. Being a grandson and becoming her brother, that's quite a, interesting thing. Now I have to thank our AIWC members who presented. Mrs. Vajra Rao on Tarabai, our past president, and who's actually the past president of Bhagini Samaj of Mangalore. Mrs. Bhargavi Devendra, who's secretary of WIA and senior member of AIWC, who has served as standing committee member, MIC, etc. Mrs. Amreshwari Morla, past president and past treasurer of AIWC. I want to thank profusely all the senior members and patrons who spoke today about Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaiyah. First, Dr. Kirti from Vijayawada. And then after that, patron Mrs. Kunti Lal, Mrs. Janaki Rajaram, her speech, Kunti Paul. Sorry, Janaki Rajaram, who gave actually a sort of passionate thoughts and experiences of Mrs. Raghuramaiyah. Patron Mrs. Beena Jain, lovely to hear from you, Beena ji, and Mrs. Veena Kohli. I think these are all the first-hand experiences with our past president. And thank you, Mrs. Rakesh Dhawan, for giving us your thoughts and experiences. Then Mrs. Suman Yadav and Asha Gambhir ji and Shivani Mehta ji about your thoughts also. Very, very nice to hear different things from different people. I have to thank specially Mrs. Sheila Kakade for putting in those 2 PPTs together on both the presidents. It was actually a very tedious job. Thank you so much, Sheila ji. And my special thanks to Treasurer Rehana ji also for giving us the surprise and such a beautiful PPT you have prepared with all those colored pictures from Pondicherry. Lovely it was. Thank you. Yes, yes. I thank all the vice presidents present today, the MICs, the zonal organizers to be present for today's webinar, and our special thanks to our presenter, Dr. Yutika Mishra, who has done a great job.
Thank you.
Great patient.